Alrighty, we are live, and this is an experiment. You are seeing a blank screen, and this is not an accident. We are coming to you live tonight from we are coming live to you from whatchamacallit, on YouTube, Twitter X, and Rumble. So I'm gonna go ahead and open up the Rumble side of things because I do want to engage the chat on Rumble today, because last week I failed to do that. So I do apologize to anybody who tuned in on Rumble. If I failed to read your messages, I apologize. And before we proceed, there's a very good reason why this screen is blank. You know, we're going to unblink the screen for a minute, and then we'll go back to a blank screen, because there is a scientific reason why. But before I do, I need to make sure I'm actually live. So if anybody sees me in the chat, please leave me a message. I might have to, yeah, I did some finagling today, and we might have to finagle a little bit more before this comes to a, oh, yeah, no, this ain't streaming right now. What, is it streaming? Yep, there we go, we're live. I want to apologize once again. I did, you know, it's funny, I took the day off tomorrow, and it's still a last minute deal. So I'm going to drop a new link. Yeah, this is the most disjointed starting of a stream I've ever done. Okay, so it doesn't let me drop a link there. So we're going to have to delete the old video. Wow, I already had 4 views on a non-stream. That's amazing. Yep. Just give me 1 second. This is, oh, whoops. Clicked on the Rumble link. Hey, what up, Wade? It's going good. No, we're going to do, I'm seriously, I took the day off tomorrow, so I have time. I'm going to research IPS screens so I can get you, find out what they actually go for. Because I want to recommend, and it's good to see you, Wade and James. I want to, like, you know, basically iron out some details. Basically, I think, you know, like I said, you get the screen. If you want an IPS screen, you buy the screen. I'll put the battery in, because you're gonna need a new battery. If you go with an IPS screen, you're gonna need a new battery. At least I think so. I know, like, if you do like the IPS mod on a Game Boy, whatchamacallit, a Game Boy Color, it does eat batteries. Or a Game Boy a Pocket, it eats a lot of battery power, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just a reality, a fact of life. All right, I got the Rumble chat on my drawing tablet alongside of the YouTube chat. Yeah, so this was a tough decision here. Like, I was trying to decide if I want to stream from OBS or from Restream Studio, but since I can only do 720p from Restream Studio, I decided we're going to stream from OBS, because what we're doing tonight is going to require, you know, optimal acuity. So anyway, I do want to say hello to James and Real Wade Nation Gaming Nation. I definitely said that partially backwards. Yeah, I'm just going through I'm doing a little garbage collection right now, because I know I started multiple streams on YouTube, Rumble, and Twitter, and I feel like I should probably clean it up. So if anybody tuning in late, please consider skipping a few minutes into the future, so that we can, you know, we can, like, you know, so you don't watch the boring stuff. I think I'm gonna have to delete something from Rumble after this is over. I once again apologize for putting you through all of the minutiae. Hey, what up, Tommy and the Guinea Pig Collective? Well, basically, so there is, but only if you do it through Restream Studio. So if I chose to do it through the web browser here, on my left side viewport, Yo, this is okay. Good. You would be able to. Oh wait, what's this? Okay. Oh, does this work? Does this work? What is this? Oh, cool. Okay, so we're gonna start with educational stuff. So by the way, there's no plan for tonight's stream except for something relating to my telescope. See, this is exactly why I should have done it. So this is the dilemma, Wade. Let's see if I get your messages to appear on the screen so that people can see what you say. Embed chat launch. Okay, so it opens up a web browser window, and I'm gonna guess that I have to link it to OBS, which I'm entirely fine with doing. So this should unify all of the big three. And this is cool. You can change the settings. You can change you can change the opacity. Oh, that's great. This is great. We're going to try this out, guys. And then you can rescale it. And then I think you basically just copy the code and you add it to OBS as a web source. So right now you can see how I have OBS open. So when I'm streaming from OBS, let me turn off the Fighter Pilot. When you're streaming from OBS, you normally can't, have multiple people join a stream unless they join through Discord, which I've never really done on stream before, but I'm sure it's not too hard. So like I say, it's like either like I set it up through Restream Studio so that multiple people can join, and then I sacrifice resolution. I go down to 720p. Or I do it through OBS directly, then it becomes a solo stream, but we get proper full 1080p resolution. So that's sort of the dilemma there. All right, so there's our chat. So I think now what I can do is I can copy and paste that. Okay, so this is funny. I got my Stream Deck working amazingly yesterday. Like this thing was running fast, no sluggishness, and now it's being a little bit slow again. I think it has something to do with the power draw of the audio interface. So this is interesting. Like I think it has to refresh. I think it has to have the chat come up afterwards. Okay, good. It's working now. So we have the word test. So if I ever stream to OBS again, I can do it this way. So future achievement to be unlocked, maybe I'll test it this week, is finding an optimal way to stream through OBS directly while being able to invite guests. Now, I believe one option is using a website or something called Video Ninja. I think it's like video.nja or something like .ninja. Literally, it's vdo.ninja. And it's really interesting. And this stupid Stream Deck's being a little runt again. I thought I fixed it yesterday. Anyway, so Video Ninja, this is the site. And it's actually not too hard. I just want to test it out on my phone so that I can simulate what it's like to invite guests on, so that when I tell somebody, join me through this website, I know how it works. But I believe Makini Drawers uses something similar. And it allows, I could be wrong, but I think that's how he does it. And this is what allows him to use OBS directly. I'm guessing. I got to ask him, actually. I should write him a letter. I should write him a John Deere letter. No, I'm kidding. A John Deere letter. I love that movie. He got one of them John Deere letters. What was that? The movie Dumb and Dumber. Yes. But yeah, we're good here. So we got this going. But unfortunately, I'm not equipped to have guests on. But we are going to update the thumbnail image. And, oh crap, it still says part 2. Okay, I gotta fix that later. Whatever, I'll do it after. I'll probably never fix it, but if I'm ambitious, I'll fix it later. But we got the Rumble running. We got the YouTube's running. We got 2 different types of chat running. I don't like the way this Rumble overlay is like not terribly easy to read. It's not a big deal, it's just a minor, nuisance. Like the YouTube chat, you have avatars, you got names and avatars. On this little Rumble overlay, it's like, it's cool that you can control the transparency, but that's about it, So we're going to turn off the Fighter Pilot as we switch between scenes. And we're going to take a look over at the chat real quick. So, in the chat, does anyone know, James says, does anyone way or another about the critters in spring? Oh, okay, so I can help you with that. Many are saying it's not happening, but apparently there are a lot of car accidents due to bad drivers. Wait. So, what is the car accidents? What do car accidents have to do with people eating critters? Is it like, I mean, if I had to guess, I would say it's because, if you have a lot of people from abroad, a lot of, new, inhabitants, so to speak, people who don't speak the language of the land, people who might not even have an actual license. That's, well, like I said, man, I told you how it's coming. Anyway, so basically, yeah, I can see what that would tie into, migrant living. Now, this wasn't actually the plan for the topic tonight, but I am going to share with you guys my Grok query, because I did use Grok today because I was curious about this subject matter. So we're going to pull up a web browser window locally, and then I'm going to, and like I said, man, I'm going to do some research, Wade. Oh, I said I want to do you measured IPS screen, so I want to do some research, find out if I can even install the IPS screen, and if it's good, if it's hard to install, if there's a chance I'll break it, a strong chance. Like if it's a minor chance, then so be it. But basically, like I said, like I'm willing to throw in a battery because, like, if I'm gonna give someone a gift Game Boy, I want to give it to them in the best, at least in something resembling the state of functionality when it was in good condition. So, if I give you a Game Boy with the original battery, it probably works fine, but it'll have a weak battery life. So, unless the battery is already really good, I'd want to throw in a new battery. And if you put an IPS screen in there, I think that's going to cause a little more power drain, but it might not be that big of a deal because it's usually an issue with the Game Boy Pocket and the Game Boy Color. When you add a IPS screen to a Game Boy Color or Game Boy Pocket, both of them are running on a pair of double or triple A batteries. That's like usually 1.5 volts. So that's a 3 volt, 3 volts of electricity total. I use rechargeable batteries because, like, why would I use, I use, like, on my Game Boy, I use rechargeable AAAs. On the Game Boy Pocket, on the Game Boy 3DS, I use a rechargeable that either came with it or that I got as a replacement aftermarket, part to get. In fact, my Game Boy Micro has a slightly higher capacity battery in there. And the original battery worked, but it had a lot of mileage on it. So I put a new battery. But, the Game Boy Advanced SP, the Game Boy, basically this one right here, it has a backlight, right? So it's already designed to, have, use up extra power for running a light. So chances are IPS screen wouldn't draw an excess of power. But on a Game Boy Pocket with the black and white dot matrix screen where there was never a backlight to begin with, I found out one of the issues is that the battery life runs down, which I couldn't care less about. Like, okay, so the battery dies. I buy rechargeables. So, I just carry more batteries and I recharge them at home. But then the other issue was that because a lot of rechargeable batteries are inherently designed to output 1.2 volts out of the starting gate, the Game Boy is designed to run with alkalines at 1.5. So, if you add a IPS screen with its own, LED lighting on it, that is drawing more power. So that would be my only concern. But like I said, like if you don't want to, if you want to buy a screen, I'll put it in there as long as I'm comfortable putting it in there. But if you feel it's too expensive, yeah, I totally understand. I think it is a little pricey. Like I'm willing to put like an IPS screen in an old Game Boy. Like if I ever get my hands on another DMG, or if I fix the broken Game Boy I have laying around, I have a red Game Boy, the original. I would love to put an IPS screen inside of that, like a black and white IPS screen, because it's just very easy to read and all of that. But yeah, so we'll prioritize battery because I want to send it to you with a battery most likely, right? But definitely a USB cable, because being able to charge a Game Boy off of a USB cable is so cool. Like when I was like your age, Wade, I remember like I'm on the bus going to school and I have my Game Boy, and you don't play it most of the day, but sometimes you get a few minutes to play it on your lunch break, and then you put it in standby mode. And then the battery dies, like, and so by the time you're on the bus, you go to whip out your Game Boy, and you can't play it because the freaking battery's dead. or you go to hang out at a friend's house or whatever it is. But like, sure, if you carry a backpack or you carry the AC adapter in your backpack or pocket, sure, then you could plug, that in and juice it up, But finding an electrical outlet in 2004, not easy. Because like anybody who had a MacBook or a desktop or a laptop of any kind at a Starbucks or in a cafeteria, they're plugging it in already. So like chances are you're not going to find an outlet for your Game Boy. So being able to charge a Game Boy off a USB cable is so cool because like nowadays USB power banks are a thing. USB ports are ubiquitous. So like when I'm at work, I can charge my Game Boy off like a random USB port. Or I can plug it into the power bank that I keep in my pocket or backpack. So it's like really cool. Well, no worries, man. Yeah, first things first, let's make sure I send you a Game Boy before you thank me. I don't want you to feel like you got to thank me before you have the thing in your hand, right? But I got you, and we'll talk about it, make sure I'm not missing anything. But my obligation, my steps are, give the battery a good test, Like, I really got to, like, just charge it up, give it a test. I could do that this week. It's not too hard. So getting on to the other topics at hand, James indicates, apparently they also issued licenses to the new people without training, testing, or anything. Well, it's because they have a right to drive, James. Are you saying that they don't have a right to drive? Okay. I'm grilling the microphone for fun. But jokes aside, like, citizen or not, of need or not, it's like everybody should, it's a safety thing, right? So if that's true, that is an interesting concern. That's an interesting thing. That's a valid concern. Nothing to apologize. Don't worry, James. Wade, it's all good, bud. But, it wouldn't surprise me, but I don't know. But I did look into the cats thing because, like, you watched that fucking debate last week. It's like, is that really the only freaking takeaway is like the stupid cats, right? It's like such a triviality. Like, how about policy points? How about like what Kamala plans to do? What Kamala is capable of doing? What Kamala's track record? Like, here's one, like, my thing is like, I think it's something that you might hear echoed by other people. It's like, if Kamala feels that, things have been mishandled under the Trump administration and that it set the stage for a lot of negative things under the, Biden administration. Well, look, her and Joe Biden have had a few years to work on these things. And she's still president right now. Now, maybe I'm overlooking the, intricacies of how, the legislature works, the House, the Congress, the Senate. But it seems a little bit unreasonable for me to be, for someone to think that I should vote for them to get certain things done when they are actively in the hot seat. Like, at least, like, I understand they try to implement some positive change and they fail because, the Congress has, too many of the opposition in it, right? Too many members of the opposition. But at least if Kamala tries to do, achieve those policy objectives while in office now, even if she blames the Congress or blames the Republicans, for preventing her from achieving that a policy objective, at least she could say she tried. Right now, it's like, you're not even trying. You're doing all this other stuff. It's like I understand that people come from all over the world in this country. It's one of our strengths. I also understand that my grandfather went to Ellis Island. My great-grandparents and their baby boy went through Ellis Island, and if they had diseases, if they, was any issues, they might not have gotten in. I also remember that nobody was doing them any favors with the language. They had to learn, like a lot of Italian families made it a point of speaking English at home so that they could, assimilate more readily. Now, does that mean everyone should feel obligated to do that? No, not necessarily. I think that's one of our cornerstones is like, the freedom of choice and, the right to, like basically the right to, basically like live as you want. But at the end of the day, it's like, we may not have an official English language, but it goes a long way when somebody's new to this country. It goes a long way when they come in here and they speak the language or they try to speak the language. Like, they don't have to be, grammar students or English students. They just have to, like, put some effort in, and people will accept you more readily. They will work with you. They will help you get to where you need to be or where you want to be. And, I met many Mexicans who work very hard in my borough of New York. And some of them don't speak that much English, but they, work hard. They pay cash for certain items in retail. I don't know. I'm rambling. I don't even know what I'm saying. But let's get to let's get to a part that I can speak to. So maybe the chat can help me out here. Well, Ronnie, from the beginning, they said driving was a privilege, not a right. Yeah, I know. Now, by the way, I was joking around when I was grilling the microphone, but is it true? Driving is a privilege. It is not a right. That's why testing was and is supposed to be mandatory. And it's not just like about, I understand that people need to work for a living and that maybe, a migrant needs to drive to work or, drive Uber. But it's a safety thing, and it's as much for their own safety as it is for those in the community. I mean, like, depending on what kind of vehicle you're driving, sometimes you could drive in a dangerous manner and only be a danger to those around you. So I get it. I'm just pulling your legs with my sense of humor here, but I wasn't even aware of that, but it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, look, the statistics, right? If you have a population increase of new residents and increase in accidents, and the policy is, even reportedly one that doesn't really put those new license holders through a lot of scrutiny or testing or training, then that says it all, right? I mean, or it says a lot. It says a lot, I should say. But I do want to thank you for your comment and your response and your questions. And here's another point that Tommy pointed out. There are a slew of videos with accidents and what looks like cats, dogs, and geese being... So, yeah, okay, so good. So we're covering car accidents as well as dogs, cats, and geese being cooked. So, like I said, I only did research about the animals being cooked. Now, I did see the video of, a man of color. I don't know if he's Haitian. I don't know if he's African-American. I don't know if he's Jamaican. I don't know what, his actual ethnicity was. But he was holding some geese or chickens or geese by the neck. And, it's like we don't really hunt geese, in our towns over here or in Ohio. So, that doesn't look very, very promising. And what's up, Lady Mist? Thanks for dropping in. So let's just read the chat real quick and then I'll show you what my research or attempt at research pulled up today. Because, of course, you're right. Like, all of the media agencies are denying it. A lot of people are taking up the talking point based on their political bias. And I almost was kind of leaning towards, like, maybe this is bullshit. But then, I was like, no, I watched the town hall meeting or whatever you call it, state, senate, city council. I saw that black man and those other, people giving their, testimony of what's going on. Now, do they have a motive to lie about this stuff? I mean, like, it's a very weird lie to be perpetuating, and some people were questioning the interview. They said, yeah, this is a thing. Then the police were like, no, it's not a thing. And I don't know if the police really said that. Maybe they asked a random cop and he was like, I don't want to be boiled in controversy, so I'll give you whatever answer you want. And of course, depending on who's asking, you don't want to be, quoted on the news as the cop who confirmed the, thing that the media is currently debunking. You don't want to be the guy who gets fired for that, and unless you have pictures, right? It's like the UFO thing, pics or it didn't happen, right? I mean, it doesn't mean it didn't happen, but just like it goes a long way, to when you provide evidence. Providing evidence goes a long way in the direction of proving that claim, right? So, real quick, no, I don't know anything about this one. How about border control? Collect the minor children and try to figure out who the parents are. Imprison the serious criminals, enforce existing laws. Well, yeah, I mean, like, this is the thing, like, when you open up the floodgates, and I don't mean just, like, like letting, helping people out who come already, but it's like, the policy has set expectations where a lot of people are coming over, and one of the things, like I remember a friend of mine from Eastern Europe, Eastern European friend of mine talked about some observations, and you can just imagine like when New York City during COVID was putting a lot of people into hotels. Imagine like you come from another country through the border illegally. Yeah, there's laws about that. We could argue if those laws should be on the books, but it is currently the law. So that's why I'm saying that crossing the border in that manner is illegal. I'm not just saying that's illegal because of my political predisposition. It is illegal. You could argue whether or not you agree with that law, whether or not you think it should be changed, and in what way it should be changed. But in the current form, that is illegal to cross the border in that manner. And there may be special dispensation. I mean, in New York, they've been using the term asylum seekers for like the past year or so, right? And it's sort of like a loophole, except that, of course, the rule with asylum seekers, I know an asylum seeker. I know a real asylum seeker who came to the country in the 90s, like in the early 90s, late 80s. They had to like hang out in Italy for like 3 months before they can come stateside. And they went through interviews and they had to make the case as to, what they were seeking asylum from. At the time, he was a Soviet subject, like in one of the Soviet satellite nations, whether it be one of the stands like Kazakhstan or whatever, but one of the Soviet satellite countries, which for all intents and purposes was part of the Soviet Union, right? Part of the Soviet Union at the time. And that person was drafted into the military, and there is a process. You get drafted in the military, even if your mom is like a bull in a china shop and talks the general out of drafting you. You still got to get the fuck out of the country before you get drafted again or get charged with trying to dodge a draft. And that's sort of what they did. They left the country because they didn't want to serve in that military. And, as a Soviet satellite, a member of a Soviet satellite nation, why would you want to serve in the Soviet military? Do you expect to be treated well in that situation? It's not a fun time. Also there's that dichotomy between actual Russians and people from the satellite nations. So there was really no valid reason for my friend to want to be in their military, and so that was a pretty valid case for seeking asylum. That is my point. And he didn't come here first. He went to Italy. There was some process at the time through the U.S. consulate where you go to Italy, hang out there for like a few months, and then if you get through the gamut of interviews, you're good. And they had to coach. The mom had to coach the husband and a little bit, may he rest in peace now, but like they worked through it, and it's a process. And I guess I wouldn't expect anything more or less, except that I don't have to go through that. So how can I say that I would expect nothing more or less of anyone, including myself? It's like, okay, I didn't have to go through that, but that's the law. That's how the law. That's what it means. Asylum seeker doesn't mean cross the border illegally and then we'll put you through the paperwork, because at that point it's clearly just being used as like a legalistic tool to circumvent the law, to just like be like, oh well, we're not letting illegal immigrants in, we're helping asylum seekers. It's just like same thing, different name. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but let's see what else we can, because I do want to show you what I was able to turn up in my research about the cats today. 60,000 and another 15,000 added in recently. Of course, there's more traffic, just the 25%. And look, I mean, it's like the people traveling across the border like that, it's a haphazard thing. I mean, for example, like Texas had every right to put a gate over the river where there was a crossing. And yes, people trying to cross that area drowned. But, read the sign. Don't cross illegally over here. I'm sorry they drowned. It's like, we're not obligated. It's like when a burglar climbs my fence. If they impale themselves on a picket fence, yeah, I guess you could say it's my responsibility that I should not have had a picket fence. But it's like, am I really obligated to cater to someone breaking in? Now, that said, I can empathize with the migrants because, they were kind of encouraged. Getting back to that example I gave, when people were, being sent to New York, when people were, migrating to New York from the border, some of them being put in hotels, especially during the pandemic. And you can just imagine, like, once you're in a hotel room, you might call your family in the other country, in the home country, and say, yo, man, we just got through the border. We, went through the border, and they gave us this hotel room. They're giving us a stipend. They're hooking us up with money. I'm on the phone. and all this good stuff. And of course, that's a way that encourages even more family members and more people to come across. So during a time when the economy is already taking a hit, is this really the logical thing to do? And maybe there's other reasons, other motives, but it's not necessarily good for the taxpayer, the economy, and people who were actually living here. Some people argue like we should take care of our veterans, and that's a valid point. They actually served the country. And sure, I can make the sterile mechanical case against that. I could say like why we should help migrants instead of veterans, but it's not a morally favorable argument to be had. It's like you have to be pretty callous to favor outsiders because it's better for the tax base, because it's better for GDP, instead of helping your veterans. It's like, well, shit, it's so convenient to like promise the world to veterans when you need them, when you want to recruit them. But once you're done, it's like, oh, let's throw them to the curb. It's kind of a shitty thing to do. Nerd. Hey, we got Baron Orman tag. He's actually announcing his own presence. He's saying, nerd. He's talking about himself. Okay, he's talking about me too. He's talking about me. He's calling me a nerd. But anyway, moving along. Asylum seekers need to request, not just march in. It is a twisting of a term to meet an agenda. Yes, it's pretty much, yeah, that's what I was, exactly, Soviet military had high deaths due to not much training. Also, there would be new guys in the unit every week. If you lived, I guess you passed the training. So one of the things about Soviet military is like when you join, you don't necessarily get all of the equipment that you need. You're told to basically, tell your parents, your family to buy you the stuff. So it's like, oh, you need boots? Write your parents a letter. Tell them to send you some boots. Tell them to send you money or order you some flak jackets. And so supposedly, I don't know if this is still the case, but during the Soviet era, yeah, it wasn't uncommon that people would be like inadequately supplied, and then they would be, they would have to like fill in the gaps to the best of their financial ability, if any at all. I knew a guy from Prague at a company I worked for. At the time, he was seeking citizenship for 5 years, and he spent 320 grand on visas to remain until he could. And so it's like a double-edged sword. It's like, is it fair? I'm not saying like it isn't fair, but it's a question like, is it fair that someone has to have a lot of wealth and means to go through that process? Maybe if we had like a more, Ellis Island era, process, perhaps it would at least be a little bit more fair. But of course, yeah, we do want to take in doctors, right? We don't want people who are going to come in and immediately go on to the dole. We want productive citizens, and it might sound a little bit crass, but yeah, it's like people come here because they want a piece of the capitalism. Okay, you could badmouth capitalism, you try to call something that's not capitalism, and we don't have as much capitalism as we once did. Oftentimes, it's the system we have now that isn't capitalism that gets referred to as capitalism, which is kind of ironic and annoying. But the idea of, free association and all of that, being able to conduct business with who you want and all of that jazz, being able to hold on to, retain private property. Yeah, sure, that gives way to hoarding, but that's an individual right. If you decide that you want to forego spending now to, stockpile some resources and sell them at a profit or something, that's kind of like the incentive to hold on to things. It's sort of a form of rationing, which is a whole other topic, but let's keep going here. I do want to show you my evidence here. Okay, James, Tommy. And that's another thing. A lot of people who did play by the rules are angry with people who jumped the border. That is true. So anyway, let me see if I can show you the picture. I do want to say hi to Baron Orman tag. Lorenzo Sleestack. Good to see you, bud. The Peter Venkman fan site. Crap. I had a joke yesterday. What was it? Damn it, I had a joke. You said something in the chat, and I was going to twist the meaning of what you said to make it into a joke, but I decided not to because, like, it might sound funny, but, well, awkward. But no, it was funny. I had a good one. And I was going to remember, I was supposed to remember it so that I could share the joke I made up based on your chat message yesterday. But unfortunately, I can't remember right now. But it is good to see you, the Peter Venkman fan site. All right, so let's see. I'm going to go open up Mr. Grok. Grok is the Twitter artificial intelligence tool. Now, I believe there is a method of pulling up previous Grok history. I always have trouble with this part because there's a button. Oh, here it is. Found it. Okay. See how long this takes. I hit the button. I just fixed the Stream Deck yesterday. Why is it slow? Anyway. Is there any evidence of ducks being eaten in Ohio? Now, I did ask another question. We're going to click on this one here. Okay, so right off the bat, they start with the boilerplate mainstream answer. Hey, what's up, Dak Poet? Good to see you. I think because of the deindustrialization, they did the entire government benefits thing. Oh, I see. Because of the deindustrialization, they did the... yep, correct. Because... I'm sorry, I had to... Okay. As James says, I think because of the deindustrialization they did, the entire government benefits thing... Okay. Punctuation. Okay, I'm gonna insert periods and commas where I need it. I think because of the deindustrialization that they did, the entire government benefits thing... I don't know why I can't read that sentence. Okay, I'm going to try to do this in like text-to-speech mode. I think because of the deindustrialization, they did the entire government's benefits thing because they need bureaucrats to administer those programs. And it's true, like even like the Roman Empire, you need bureaucracy, you know, and like it's a double-edged sword, right? There's a lot of like underpaid people jobs. No worries, man, I understand. It can be a pain in the ass to type sometimes when, depending on what device, keyboard, and how many hands you got, you know. But it is true because I mean, like we had productive manufacturing, and we better work towards getting some of that back. And it's amazing, like Elon's doing productive stuff. I mean, they had the first high altitude spacewalk, the first spacewalk done by a private company, and not to mention from the current sitting president. You know, not so much as a congratulations on achieving this nice, achievement, something like that, and I can understand they have their issues with, Musk, but it is a significant achievement, and it's not just Elon. He didn't achieve it, of course. He didn't do the spacewalk. I mean, sure, he is a visionary in his own right, but it is the CEO he hired, a woman named Glenn Shotwell. Okay, like, that lady, it's a good thing he hired her, because, like, while Elon's running, Tesla like a shit show, and it's still a successful company, they're still innovating, but it is a little bit wild the way they do things at Tesla. With SpaceX, at least they have a proper CEO, like a qualified CEO to do the job of a CEO, and yet they seem to work really well together because they're being highly productive, testing out a rocket, flying it, blowing it up, and saying, why did the rocket blow up? And then building another one that fixes the issue with the previous rocket. And then the next rocket maybe almost blows up, but it doesn't, right? I like that iterative testing they're doing at SpaceX. So he's doing something right. And frankly, compared to Boeing, holy cow, look at Boeing. I mean, like, they have that plane a few years ago. What was it? A 737, 787 MAX. And that thing's like crashing in third world countries, and they're not even telling the pilots or the airlines in those countries, like, hey, by the way, there's this glitch with the autopilot. You should probably, compensate. What's up, Slim? Good to see you. Like, they're not even instructing people. It's like, oh, there's just people in a shithole country, so we'll let them crash. 737 MAX. And so there's like that elitist attitude and that, that situation with profits. And a friend of mine argued that we wouldn't have this problem with Boeing if, the executives could be held criminally liable. And there's a double-edged sword to that. There's a case to be made against that. But, at a point when the executive is saying, cut 30% across all departments so that we can get our dividends on the stocks or whatever, that's endangering people. Okay, we're lucky that the planes, not as many planes have crashed, that we just had a door fly off the, airplane in the middle of the flight. But, like, you got, like, the space capsule, right? Once again, the Boeing Starliner. Late and over budget by a pretty significant margin. And NASA, they already, like, had a big fuck-up with Challenger and Columbia. Space Shuttle Columbia. And Columbia is an example where the fuel tank there's like a space shuttle has a fuel tank on it. And I can't believe we're going down this rabbit hole, but we're going to get a picture of this space shuttle. Okay, so the space shuttle is like a firecracker. So here's our American space shuttle. This big brown thing is actually an aluminum tank, much like a soda can. It's got two tanks in it, actually. It's got a liquid oxygen and a liquid hydrogen tank inside. So that's why you got different pipes running down the side. The brown stuff is basically a foam installation. So the thing about the space shuttle is when Space Shuttle Columbia went up for its final flight, see this pipe over here? That pipe matters. Let me see if I can find a picture of the part that I'm about to refer to. Okay, so on the Space Shuttle fuel tank, they have this thing called a foam ramp, right? See, it's like a piece of foam that's like got a ramp shape, and it's there to help insulate the pipe that has cryogenic fuel, because you have liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen, and you got to keep it cold to get maximum fuel storage. And so basically, a piece of that foam ramp, a pretty heavy piece of foam, during launch fell off, and it falls off because these solid rocket boosters, which basically have like almost like a bottle rocket, where once you light it, you can't control it. Like once you light it, it's gonna burn until it runs out of fuel. Solid rocket boosters, they're full of like a solid fuel. It's almost more like gel, but basically it's like a bottle rocket, and they vibrate a lot. So during takeoff, that vibration translates to the fuel tank here, and that piece of foam comes flying down, and it slams into the front of this wing. Now, the front of this wing, although the bottom of the shuttle is covered in tiles, like the tiles are actually all over here, this part of the wing is made out of a material called reinforced carbon-carbon or reinforced carbon composite. Basically, reinforced carbon-carbon is graphite. Imagine like graphite that resembles a piece of slate or a piece of tile, but they have fabric woven in between the material to give it more strength. So if they didn't have the fabric, almost like fiberglass or carbon fiber, if something, slammed into it, it would like crack and potentially break over a large area. But with the fabric, if something hits it and it cracks a little bit, the fabric imbues some tensile strength to prevent it from even cracking. In the case of Space Shuttle Columbia, the foam basically made a hole in the front of the wing, or it made a crack that formed a hole. So during landing, the Space Shuttle, no longer has the boosters or the fuel tank. It effectively is a glider. So the reason this is made out of this reinforced carbon graphite composite is because it gets very hot in the leading edge of the wing when you're moving at 26 times the speed of sound. And so you had the hot air entering through this hole, and it's starting to short out systems. It blew a hole in the tire. That was the first sign of failure. They literally had like a flat tire, and you got to remember that the landing gear is inside the wing. So for you to get a flat tire during re-entry, during the landing routine when you're coming down from space, as a shooting star, basically as a fireball, that means that something from the outside had to get inside that wing. And then the real issue was when they started having other systems flicking out, electrical systems. They have a lot of redundancy, but as you have things flicking out, mission control, they have to look at the schematic and they got to check, something. And they respond, no commonality. And no commonality is like the moment you're dead. Because you got a flat tire, then you got a random wire going out, and then you got another random wire going out and another electrical system going out. Now, at that point, if let's say those three electrical systems are related to each other, you can say, oh, okay, it's a system failure in one system. It's probably isolated. But when you have three unrelated electrical systems going out, that means there's an external cause, and that external cause is probably not done wreaking havoc. And sure enough, they lose communication. The astronauts are inside the flight deck up here in the orbiter. They have a lot of flight turbulence. I mean, this thing's shaking, right? And they're probably just hoping that they can get to a low enough altitude and a slow enough speed that they could jump out and parachute down. They could bail out. And of course, when you have a hole in your wing and you have fucking hot plasma and hot atmospheric gases entering at 20 times the speed of sound into the side of your wing, eventually you're going to heat up the aluminum skin, which is much like a soda can, from the inside. And then the tiles start coming off. So it's like, yes, the tiles failed, thereby contributing to the failure, but it was because the thing was burned from the inside out. And reason I bring this up is because, NASA knew, the engineers knew foam hit the wing. Some people were urging, the management to do something about it. And whether it was the lady who was in charge at the time or somebody else, they felt that, they went through all the checklists and that, we have the best safety and that it'll be fine, basically. They also didn't want to, ask for help. They had a bunch of excuses as to why they couldn't do anything about it. There's a long video on what they could have done. And a lot of the excuses are like not insurmountable. It's like one of them was like, oh, they'd have to have an astronaut hang out the side of the cargo bay, which is these double doors up here, and look from under the wing or some shit. And that they could break the radiator while doing it, and therefore that might not be a good option. It's like, dude, put a fucking camera on the end of a stick. You're not gonna tell me you don't have a stick to put a camera on. Like, I understand they didn't have the robotic manipulator arm, because that's how they usually do it on a space shuttle. They have a robotic arm, a big robotic arm, and they can put the astronaut on the end of it, and they can maneuver them onto the underside of the shuttle. Or give the guy a rope and just throw him out there, a guy or a lady. They had men and women on this space shuttle. But it was that arrogance that caused that shuttle to go down. Now, going back to 1986, I just gave you the chronicle of 2006. 1986 Challenger, it was an O-ring somewhere inside the solid rocket booster. I think somewhere up here. And basically, due to the severe winter temperatures, the people from the company that built the booster were like, yo, you shouldn't launch it. And mission control was like, shut the fuck up. Or whoever's in charge said, shut the fuck up. They went ahead anyway. And sure enough, during that launch, there's videotape of flame coming out of the side of that booster and burning a hole through the fuel tank. And guess what happens when you burn a hole through the fuel tank? Yeah, catastrophic explosion. And guess what happens when you're next to that fuel tank blowing up? It breaks apart. And so the astronauts actually survived for quite a few minutes in this part of the shuttle after everything fell apart, and then died upon impacting the ocean, But this could have been prevented in both cases, and there was certain arrogance, this attitude where, like, we did the checking already, therefore we're right, we know that it's safe. And yet they weren't. And with the Boeing thing, I think this time NASA didn't want egg on their face again. So I give NASA credit for, like, because, I mean, realistically, I think they could have landed that capsule safely. It looks like the capsule did land safely. We got pictures of the capsule on the ground. It landed. But had they, been wrong and put the astronauts on that capsule and it blew up again, it would just been like just as embarrassing and immoral as the last two times they had a foul up like that. And yeah, I think we can totally trust SpaceX more than NASA to send people to space. Slim, Boeing Airlines. Oh, we talking about that? Not SpaceX, Boeing, right? And I think Boeing hired. NASA hired, contracted Boeing to build that capsule because, of course, SLS is gosh darn expensive. It has its uses. It's a hell of a heavy lift rocket, and just to give you guys reference, because I don't even know, if you know what SLS is, it is actually derived from the space shuttle program. You can see it's got like a lot of similarity to the space shuttle that we just took a look at, right? You can see if we can we get a bigger picture here? What is this garbage? No, I don't want to buy. Okay, so low res image, but you see solid rocket boosters, big ass fuel tank, and then everything from the here on up is a lot like the Apollo program. You got like a capsule up there that I think NASA might have gotten help from Boeing on it, except this one, they didn't fuck up on the capsule. This one works. Like this, the payload on the top of this fuel tank actually works. We've tested it already. It's just that it is constantly over budget and behind schedule. So, like that's the thing. Whereas SpaceX, they, it's in their interest to get things done on time and not milk the budget. So they kind of have to be productive in that regard. I do want to say hi to Caleb Reynolds today. I hope you're having a fine evening. And yeah, we still got to we got to check into that animal thing. I got the animals in a second. I got that grok thing open. And let's just really quickly catch up here. There's also something to be said about holding leadership accountable. I bet Boeing would fix their crap if one executive was fired or jailed. Imagine, like, you go to jail and the government takes all your shit away. See how quickly they care about safety. You know, like because, like, I mean, right now it's like it's cutting into their profits, their dividends, their stock options. But, you know, the loss of the profit from that becomes a lot less important, or whatever you call it, capital gains, dividend-bearing gains, whatever. That becomes a lot less important when you know you can go to jail and lose all your crap, and your family loses all of the inheritance, you know? So yeah, absolutely, James. That would be a motivational thing. 2 to 3 hours to Cape Canaveral. Yeah, I mean, it's still closer than where I'm at, but yeah, I mean, it's not like... The problem with, like, going to see a Dak Poet, the problem with seeing, you know, like, space shuttle flight or any, you know, rocket flight is sometimes you show up there and then there's a rainstorm and they do what they call a scrub. And that just means that, like, okay, we'll try again tomorrow, or we'll try again next Wednesday. Basically, like, they have to, like, postpone the launch. And I think with the SLS rocket, if they had to postpone it again, technically, according to the rules, they would have had to wheel it back to the vehicle assembly building, which is like a mile down the road or something, on the crawler. Because remember, they got that thing, if you ever saw the movie Apollo 13, the rocket is on a thing, it looks like a giant tank. It's got like big tank tracks, right? And NASA Mobile Launch Platform, I think it's called a crawler. Yeah, this thing here, they have a scene in the movie Apollo 13 where Tom Hanks is walking underneath it. Oh, that's a great... I love when NASA has... Like, see, like, that shit. Look at that. There's a guy next to it. So, this thing moves like at an obscenely... It's the biggest vehicle that can stop on a dime. And so, the bottom half, I think, is separate from the launch pad. What they do is they pull it into position, and then once the launch pad's in position, they bolt it down at these hard points. So, you know, there's that. Yeah, the space shuttle handle is slightly better than the brick. It does. The fly-by-wire control system is actually not that bad. Oh, that's cool, yo. I wish I... That's cool. Dak Poet went on school field trips to Cape Canaveral. I almost think that it was about TV. They didn't want to reschedule the live launch show. Oof. Regarding the disaster with the solid fuel booster. Oh, yeah, well, they had the teacher. That was part of it, too. I think there was also, like, some pressure because, like, they were trying to, like, you know, get, like, money from the Air Force to launch payloads, and it ended up screwing it up because the Air Force basically, after Challenger, the Air Force was like, okay, we're going to go invest in our own space program. The Air Force has its own space program that's pretty nimble. You know, like, they have a launch system in Alaska that can launch a rocket in 48 hours. Like, it's a small payload. But if you need to get a small payload into orbit, it can do it. And, you know, so, you know, with Columbia, getting back to Columbia, you know, maybe they could have launched more supplies. They could have done something. And granted, like, within the official, like, guidelines of what they are supposed to be able to do, it's assumed that there was nothing that could be done. But realistically, something could have been done. You know, it's like, it's true that Baikonur, the Russian launch site, is not on the same orbital declination as the Space Shuttle Columbia at the time, because Columbia was doing the Middle Eastern dust experiment. They were flying a laser over the Middle East to kind of scan for aerosols. It's like a laser platform that basically just collects data on the atmospheric conditions over the desert. But basically, they were not on the same orbital parameters as the ISS, and I don't know if they would have had enough fuel to get onto that orbit. And so that was one of the issues with that as a solution. But there was a rocket in French Guiana that maybe they could have shoved some supplies onto and sent up. They could have put the shuttle into like a low power mode where, like, almost like when submarines during World War II need to conserve oxygen. They just have most of the crew laid down. Anybody who's not working lays down on their bunks and just conserves their oxygen so that they can hold out while hiding from a Japanese boat or whatever it is they're trying to hide from. So anyway, let's take a look here. They showed it explode about 1 million times on the news for the next 3 months. I wonder how much that thing costs to make, to operate, and maintain. Well, at last I checked, the space shuttle program was $4 billion per launch, but that was amortized. So the earlier launches were technically more expensive, but if you factor in the cost of every space shuttle launch, it comes out to about $4 billion per launch. But when you're looking at prices of any NASA program, like the Apollo program, when you go on Wikipedia, you'll get a chart that gives you the inflation adjustment. So just like when you're talking politics and somebody says that, you know, Obama, Biden, Trump, whoever has raised the deficit more than ever. A lot of times, like, maybe they did, maybe they didn't. Because, like, I need to see the inflation adjusted number before I agree to that. It's like, I wouldn't be surprised if Obama blew up the deficit more than ever. But it's like, for all I know, when you take the, like, even World War II is a great example, because like World War II, in nominal dollars, World War II cost less than anything that was done during the Bush or Obama administration. But if you adjust for inflation, suddenly World War II, or whatever cost we incurred at the time, becomes a lot, it comes into perspective with modern day numbers. I wonder how much that thing would cost, and the hangar for storage. Oh, yeah. Well, this thing, oh, you're talking about the mobile launch platform. Well, the beauty of the mobile launch platform is I think it's the same vehicle they've been using since the Apollo era. So, if anything, we're getting a very good value on it. It's almost like maintaining a diesel truck. So, you just got to get like an army of diesel mechanics, and that's your cost. Diesel mechanics. I mean, you know, and they do, like, they did a refurbishing on it, I think, a few years ago, too. But it's a pretty robust, little vehicle, right? So anyway, real quick, let's get to the bugs and then we're going to get back to some science I'm working on here. So basically you get the boilerplate answer saying that based on information up to September 16th, there is no verified evidence that ducks are being eaten in Ohio by Haitian immigrants or any other group, despite claims circulating on social media and other platforms. Here's a breakdown of the situation, and then, you know, like I said, boilerplate. But the part that got me excited was after reading that boilerplate, you know, yada, yada, yada shit, we get some tweets. And this is the tweet that I like. So once again, like misinformation analysis. Many of the claims were based on misattributed or unrelated incidents. For example, videos or images shared as evidence were either from different locations or involved different contexts not related to the Haitian immigrants or Springfield. So basically, it's like rehashing what the mainstream media point of view is. What's up, Amber? Wow, you go to class at midnight? No, I'm kidding. I know you're in a different time zone. But it's good to see you, Amber. Thank you for dropping the turtles and the heart emojis. And I hope you're having a wonderful evening. And I took the day off from work tomorrow, so I'll remember to get back to you by electronic mail about the project. So anyway, let's now click on the tweet. So what I liked here is, like, it's telling me, like, yeah, this is bullshit, just like everyone else is saying, right? And once again, like, I know how these fucking fact checkers work. Like, you know, how many times have you done a fact check? And, like, they tell you that something's not true, but then the reason they say it's not true is because of some minor technicality. Like, I'm trying to think, like for example, not true. Joe Biden does not have, let me see, a bad example. Let me think here. Okay, so let's say I pick my nose. And after I, okay, let's say I pick my ass and I eat a dingleberry. And then someone goes online and says, Ron picks his nose and eats it. Now the fact checks can say, right, Snopes can say, false, pants on fire, false. DJ Ronnie G does not or never did pick his nose and eat it. Done. But of course, I mean, a more, you know, honest fact check would say, although DJ Ronnie G did not pick his nose and eat it, he did pick his ass and eat his own dingleberries. So it's like, you know, sure, it's like semantically, you could say that the fact check has concluded this is not true, but, you know, eating dingleberries has to be at least equal to picking your nose and eating it, if not worse, you know? And I mean, that's a bad example, but I think tell me if you got any examples, chat. But like, I'm sure we've all done our fact checks before, or reviewed a fact check that was just like such misdirection, you know? And that's not even talking about the election last year. It's like, if I touch that one, then I have to go down the rabbit hole about that incident with Giuliani, and I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. Yeah, I know, a hell of an analogy, right? Right? Yeah, Apollo 13 was a fun movie. That got me more interested in space, and I have a friend, he believes that Apollo 13, he believes that we didn't land on the moon during Apollo 11, that it was staged, and that Apollo 13 was the first time they really tried to land on the moon. Now, I don't agree, but I gotta give my friend credit for creativity on that one. Oh, actually, not a bad example. New York City politician X often picks his nose and flicks it at pedestrians from his limousine. Did they really do that? Is that a politician? Is that the mayor or someone else? Yeah, 13 was a good one. Yeah, it was a good one. Well, bad mission to be on. Good movie. Now, actually, Apollo 13 worked out well. I mean, it could have been very disastrous, and so all in all, it worked out. All right, so viewer discretion advised. I repeat, viewer discretion advised. Now, we'll read the tweet, but we're going to start the video so we can start with the sensational stuff. And then we'll see what we can glean from it. Because every which way, like James said before, Google it, watch a news article, etc. You know, you're going to read it's not true, basically, right? And yet, there's some seemingly reasonable people showing up at their local city council meeting, and they seem pretty confident that this is a thing. Now, are they simply showing up because of hearsay? You know, and also the other thing is, like, no offense to my friends on the left, or who lean more left, but it is an irony when the police say that nobody's eating animals, we don't have any credible reports, and then that's used as a source to show, like, oh yeah, they're not eating animals. But of course, you know, there's times where I think a lot of us don't trust the police. So it's like, we can't have it both ways. Like, if you don't trust the police at all, then maybe that's not a source that you should use. But then again, maybe I'm being a bit, you know, a bit of a stickler here, you know. So in fairness, I don't think I have a right to tell you or anyone whether or not they have a right to, you know, say something, even if they have a predisposition most of the time that would go against what they're saying. Simon Whistler did a video about the moon landing, something about the dust from the moon rover tires and the rate of said dust falling back to the surface. Yes, actually, that is evidence that, and you could play a dune buggy in slow motion. You'll get a similar rooster tail pattern, but the one on the moon, the one that's caused by lunar gravity, is unique and cannot be replicated by simply putting video in slow motion. Also, lunar regolith is just a different type of dust or dirt to begin with. If enough people talk about it, people think it's true, lol. And yeah, that's the thing. So, like, once again, if it's multiple people quoting other people's hearsay, and the rumor gets a life of its own, that does not make it true. But I don't know. I mean, I got to rewatch that city council meeting. I don't want to watch it now, but maybe we can glean something from it. But right now, the guy didn't show up with pictures, right? I know he spoke to a microphone. I'm going by the opinion that the person speaking seemed reasonable. It wasn't like the like, I watched a video yesterday where someone was questioning 9/11 Building 7, and I think they were also kicked out of some city council meeting. And I'm a bit more open-minded to the mainstream story about Building 7. My only problem with the mainstream when it comes to Building 7 on 9/11 is that the mainstream sources didn't, like, you know, answer it sooner. Like, they could have presented the evidence. It was so easy. Like, just show us the structural columns of how Building 7 was built, show us where it got weak, compare it to the video evidence, show us the side of the building that had a giant gash in it where you could see structural columns would have been missing, you know, when compared to the blueprint. And the way that Building 7 collapsed becomes a lot more viable. But another argument I heard, and this is something that I should be able to verify off of my VHS tapes, is that Building 7 did not collapse at free fall speed. So oftentimes you'll hear people arguing that Building 7 collapsed at free fall speeds, which is impossible unless it was a controlled demolition. But if it is true that the video was sped up at just the right speed to make it look like it was falling at free fall speeds at the 9 meters per second or whatever it is, 9.8 meters a second, and the real footage goes slightly slower, then that would support the notion that it did not fall at free fall speeds, thereby supporting that it was a collapse of a different type. So it would go either way on that one here. I'm not here to I'm not here to argue 9/11, 9/11 back and forth, but there was a lot of red flags. Personally, I'm pissed off about 9/11 because I feel like for what the taxpayer is paying for, defense, they should have been able to shoot those planes down. Okay, like I don't see any excuse. Okay, it's not unprecedented. Many times a jet is flying somewhere where it's not supposed to be flying, and a jet intercepts a fighter jet intercepts the passenger jet. And I remember there's this one incident where a Greek airline had an incident, and it turned out the air handling system was disabled, so it was a jet full of a bunch of people who were either already passed out or dead, hypoxic. Like, it's just, so the plane's flying at cruising altitude, and at some point during the flight, everyone went hypoxic at the same time, basically. So now you got pilots, passengers, everyone just like out cold. Hell of an incident. You'll hear people say that the planes on 9/11 were remotely operated, and you'll see like a blurry video where you see like a pod that is probably just a fuel tank on the bottom of the plane. And it's like, it's not really easy to see, because I know when you digitize VHS video, it's interlaced. It's like not even 480i. So you're not going to get a lot of detail from that, even if you try to deinterlace it and upscale it. And most people don't deinterlace it properly. If it's coming from a digital video cassette, there's a little bit more hope there. But even those are not necessarily going to be higher than 480i in resolution. So once again, a lot of missing data there. But real quick, 9.8 meters squared. 9.8 meters per second squared. That's correct. That is the gravitational drive. I plan to go to Texas by airplane, because it's not that I don't like driving. I love a good road trip, but I need to save the time, and I'm going to be flying out of Newark International Airport. I am not flying out of LaGuardia again. That was a bad idea. It worked out, but LaGuardia was not an ideal airport to fly out of, okay? Or coming home from LaGuardia was not ideal. Luckily, I had someone picking me up, but what a chaotic parking area. Okay, let me tell you, like, if you ever fly into or out of LaGuardia, like, just pick another airport, I mean, it's not a bad airport if you happen to be landing in Queens and you're going to visit somebody who lives in Queens, but even JFK International is a better airport, but Newark International Airport, it's like right next to Staten Island. It's not too far away. It's a quick drive. Yeah, that's the airport I'm using next time. And I do want to say hi to Adega Outlaw. It's good to see you, man. Yeah, so we're about to talk about the thing in Ohio. I just discussed how I used Grok to help me find some tweets. Because initially, Grok gave me a boilerplate response, like basically saying that, yeah, there's no evidence of people eating cats. But Grok also gave me tweets that I could, use to follow up on that research. So that was really cool. And I do want to say hello and good night to California Ford 44, who was kind enough to hit the like button, as I'm sure you guys and ladies were all kind enough to do. I presently see 13 likes on my scope. And I have nothing against trains. I mean, look, I like trains, planes, and automobiles. Great movie. I might have to, because I'm thinking about swinging 2 meetups. I don't know if I can actually pull this off, but I'm thinking about swinging 2 meetups in Texas, like a day apart from each other. I honestly don't know if this is even practical. I really got to investigate the viability of this, depending on what events are planned. But I might be trying to land in either, I think at Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport, and then I might actually be looking to travel by ground between Austin and San Antonio. And I don't know if this is a good idea. It might be a bad idea, but I'm thinking about doing it. I gotta find out who's doing what and decide what's viable. What up there, creepy Castlevania Crypt? Good to see you, bud. Yes, well, VHS can be VHS is not 480p, but it's a trick question. It's a trick question. So, are you recording in EP mode or SP mode? Are you using SVHS? You know, I mean, like the lines of resolution vary across them. So, for example, 8mm, I think high 8 is close to like 400 lines of resolution, whereas 8mm or video 8 is like less than that, like 280 or something insane like that. So let's see, VHS lines of resolution. And so it is 240 interlaced, but when you de-interlace 240, you can get something, you can upscale it easily to 480. Here we actually says right here, I stand corrected. Okay, so it's 240i. No, wait. Actually, it's a little confusing here. Well, it does say 320 by 480 here. That even is more confusing, but that would still be 480 lines of resolution. Problem with calling VHS 480p is that it's inherently interlaced. It's not progressive scan, but it might actually upscale to give me a second. I gotta catch a fly. Got it. Ew. Sorry, guys. I had to catch a fly. You know, once the baby fly grows, they keep getting larger, and then they lay eggs. You gotta nip it in the bud. I want to try Amtrak and also Greyhound. So back when I was younger, there was a girl, and somehow she earned the nickname Amtrak. And I'm gonna leave that up to your imaginations where that nickname comes from. Moving on. And I don't mean to be Googling. Well, I did Google. Oh, here we are. This is a little bit better. So, okay, VHS video 8, 240 lines. Broadcast TV signal is about 330 lines. SVHS is 400. This is also comparable to high 8, which I have right over here. I have a bag of high 8 cassettes here somewhere, and I do have to clean my desk and continue digitizing some tapes. But I have enough digital footage that needs to be properly upscaled. That's why I haven't really prioritized that yet. Mini DV is 480, but here's the thing, I've had mini DV cassettes and digital 8 cassettes that were 480 interlaced, but I think some DV formats can do 480p. Don't quote me on that. It gets a little confusing. I do all my VHS at 480p. So Slim, even though I'm going to tell you from experience, don't take the bus. All right, I appreciate that, because I wasn't really interested in taking the bus. I heard there's a company, not Greyhound. There's another company called like Great Rides or something like that. Apparently they're supposed to be really good. But yeah, I don't care how cheap the bus is. Like, if I can do it for under $200, I might take a freaking Uber. And I would do Amtrak too, but yeah, they've been cutting routes, and you know, it's like there's a double-edged sword to putting more trains or having more trains, but it would be ideal because, like, I can go bike trekking. I can get on a train and go cross the country and then ride my bike in exotic places and then hop back on a train and get back home, you know? That would be kind of fun. One of these days, maybe I'll do a bike tour like Forrest Gump. I usually take the bus when I travel because it used to be cheaper. Yeah, I think it's still cheaper. There's a couple of these like YouTube travel channels where they talk about that. Like they do it, they film their experience. Kind of interesting. Like if you're curious and you want to sample it, that's one way to do it. Some of these things they'll just drop you off and leave you kind of hanging somewhere to wait for the next bus while it's 20 degrees outside. Okay, so this is a guy named Benny Johnson. I don't know Benny Johnson, but I also know that there's a guy named Mark Ruffo, I think, who is putting information up about it. Here, woman arrested for killing cat, eating it in front of neighbors. This was from August 20th, 2024. Alexis Telia Ferrell. Oh, God, my chair just fell down. There we go. You know, a pneumatic piston. Is charged with injuring animals, prohibitions concerning companion animals, and disorderly conduct. So we could follow up on that, right? You could look up her name and see, like, is this a thing? Did that happen? Did she get arrested? Because that's a publication date from the 20th. So the question is, when did she get arrested? Did the arrest happen, like, In August, or did it happen last year? That's funny. Cats in Ohio right now. It's so fucked up. Oh my god. I'm sorry, guys. If that's sensitive, anyone, I apologize. Oh, is this what you're talking about, James? James, is this what you're talking about? Oh, no. That's not what you're talking about at all. Oh, that's cool. Roman trumpet. I actually got to take some footage. I've been editing scenes from the movie Ben-Hur because I want to somehow incorporate the music from Ben-Hur. For those who are uncertain, these images are simply images from Simply Recipes, Weber Grills, the Mediterranean dish, the Kitchen Magpie. Clearly, it's not a chicken on the grill in the video. It's spectacularly annoying that so many creators don't provide context. What? What does that have to do? It's all about the ad. What are we talking about? It's just the chicken. Yeah, the chicken's not the issue. And this is a skinless cat. That's just nasty. I mean, it's not nasty to be a skinless cat. It's just nasty that they got it on a tray. The Associated Press has reported Alexis Farrell is not Haitian and was born in Ohio. Exclusive. We have discovered that Americans are in fact eating cats in Ohio. There was a body cam video being circulated this week of an American woman in Ohio being arrested for allegedly eating a cat. So we could even investigate that, see, what's good. Maybe like there's more to this than meets the eye. But we're going to get back to that barbecue video in a second, and then we'll see what Slim got us in the links. Also, I do sometimes like reading the comments. How it started versus how it's going. Where would you deport an American? Back to America? Not a Haitian American, nor in Springfield. So a lot of like detractors. So that's okay. We want detractors if it's true. If the idea that she's not Haitian, that she's an American citizen is the truth, then we do need to know that. Because if you're gonna bolster your talking points, you need to know when something is not true so that you can, maybe find stronger arguments if there are any. I'm just gonna let that be. But once again, I think the eating cats thing is such a triviality. I bet it happens. I don't know if it's super widespread, but I'm willing to take the word of the guy at the city council meeting. And I just don't think it's that big of a deal. I mean, I know some people care about the animals. That's a big deal. But I'm saying, whether it's true or not is not a terribly big deal. Because, once again, this is coming off as one of those fact checks where it's we have an example. Now, maybe this is not a Haitian citizen. Maybe, someone claims that this is a backyard of an African-American family. Could this be, modified with AI art? Probably not. It's not really something that you would do with AI, video editing or any of that business. Did I say viewer discretion advised? Yeah, viewer discretion advised. But, I mean, it looks like, they deferred the cat, which you could probably do by burning the fur or boiling. When you put chickens in a, a feathered chicken into boiling water, the feathers come right off. So, maybe that's how they got the fur off. There's not enough detail. We could try to upscale it if we really want to AI upscale it. Still, a screenshot, but I don't think we're going to get much. I'm going to guess when you cook anything that some of the fat liquefies, and maybe that's why they look a little emaciated. Then again, I'm not terribly accustomed to seeing a cat without fur. So maybe this is what a cat looks like, after the fur has been, removed and whatnot. But what we do see is we see a couple of things on the barbecue that look suspiciously, pet-like. And then in the background, you see random cats walking around, and I don't know, can anybody read animal body language? I'm not even kidding. Let's try to read the body language of these animals, all right? So, black cat walking slowly. This one seems a little hesitant. Now, would a cat even know? Would a live cat even know what a cooked cat looks like? Is that cat looking for an escape? Is that cat just, kind of lollygagging? I wonder. But that's one, that's the most credible video I found. Okay, I don't know if that actually makes it credible, but that's the most credible video, and that was posted by a guy named Christopher F. Rufo, and he's like some kind of journalist, and he has like a Substack, I think, too. It's either a Substack or a website. And then if we go down here, please read the full shocking investigation by Christopher Rufo. So this is the article. Narrative busted. ABC News owes Donald J. Trump an apology. Do they? And of course, like, you know, instead of reading the article, someone goes, the conspiracy theorists are now undefeated. Or undefeated. Wait, maybe that's not it. I don't know if that person's a detractor. No, they're not. Oh, yeah. So some people, they like to joke that the conspiracy theorists were proven right during COVID. And that's sort of true. But I still hear a lot of dumbass stuff. So recently, people claiming that, like, one of these, like, blood samples from vaccinated people had, like, nanotechnology in it. But really, if you take, like, you know, certain shots and certain liquids, if there's any sodium in there, the salt will crystallize as the water evaporates. So that's not nanotechnology. And even if you could, like, show that there's weird structures inside a injection, it's like, well, show me what it does. Like, just because it's there, what does it actually do? But let's get to, James says, that's the thing. With a decent graphics card and some patience, you can make people see what you want them to see. This is true to an extent. To an extent, in my opinion. But that's the other thing, too, because, like, now, most people who rely on AI tools are relying on them on the internet, almost like through the cloud, right? Through a third-party provider. Now, I did recently test something called Pinocchio. And that's spelled like this. And we're going to read that link in a second. So, see, I got Pinokio. And Pinocchio is pretty cool. It is a thing that automates the process of downloading the dependencies, the third-party scripts, you know, all of the essential stuff. Oh, I don't plan on driving in Texas, Doc Poet. I plan on getting driven around in Texas. Hopefully, like I said, last time I used Ubers. Well, last time I went to Texas, I had the honor to drive around with Mexican Iron Man. That was a good time, yo. That was like better than going to Disneyland, right? Like, I literally spent a weekend hanging out with Mexican Iron Man, Stone Loki, and everyone else. I met Stone Loki's wife, or his wife to be at the time. She was cool. You know, met a bunch of other people. Daryl of the Derelict, Psycho Dwarf 9. A lot of good people, though. Like, really great people. I don't want to name. I don't know if I'm putting anyone on the spot by naming them, but yeah, that was a hell of a weekend, man. That was better than freaking Disney World, let me tell you. I mean, maybe that's like simplistic of me, but I had a good time. I did. It was good quality time. And so, like I said, I'm a little worried because, like, now Jolly and his people, like, they're meeting up with another group or something in San Antonio. And these two meetups, like, originally they're going to be like a week apart or 2 weeks apart. Now they're like basically in the same week, which is kind of good. But it means that now I have to get myself there. And I have to, like, bring myself from one city to another city. And I got to figure out, like, a travel plan, like, that is a little daunting because, like, the itinerary, like, if you arrive at one airport, can you leave at another airport? And usually it's better to use the same airport because, you know, once you land at one airport, you get a feel for the airport so that when it's time to go back home, you know how to get back to your gate. But if you got to go to a completely unfamiliar airport for the first time to go home, that could be a little daunting right there, you know? But let's get back to, we're going to go click on this video here that Slim sent. Oh, no. 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 Okay, you guys in the chat are welcome to click on that, but I'll play the audio for you. Okay, I'm gonna do the voice reenactment. Okay, I can't. It's terrible. Okay, now I'm making noises. Okay, we're done. The minute I start sounding like Yoko Ono, it's over. It's over, right? Can you even hear the sound, guys? Did that sound go through? Did I just look like a fool, or did you guys hear the sound on the speakers? You better have heard the sound, man. I will be so ashamed if you didn't hear the sound. Oh no, you should hear the sound because I have it set up correctly. Okay, good. Yeah, and you confirmed. Peter Venkman and Dak Poet said, sounds like a cat being tortured. Well, first Peter Venkman fan site. Oh, okay. First Dak Poet goes, what in the world? Then Venkman fan site like, why? And then James like, it's the F1 engine. Oh no. It does sound a bit like the race car engine. Sounds like a cat being tortured, says Venkman. Dak Poet then adds, sounds like a cat or an orgasm, or a cat having an orgasm. Then again, no, cats having orgasms are weird. Like, I think my mom explained to me that, like, when you hear a cat fucking in the street, you don't hear anything until they pull out. So it's like there's like a hook thing going on, like almost like a refueling probe on an airplane. And when the cat pulls out, that hook is like, you know, snapping out, and that's what makes the noise. And that's why you hear the cat go suddenly go, meow! Like, that's, I think, the physics. I've never looked at a diagram. That's just how I understand it. So yeah, it's what happens with those oversized, stuff from the sex toy shop. So aggressive they drive off overpasses at least once a week. Oh yeah. Well, you know, safety first. At least if I'm in an Uber, I can, you know, have a bailout plan while the driver drives. What's up, Curtis Selby? Thanks for dropping by. I'm going to crash, but I wanted to have leave a like and a comment. And I do appreciate that. And I do like Curtis Selby's content. I also like his comment, but I like his content as well as his comment. And I think we should drop a link, not to put Curtis on the spot here, but he is a quality content creator. And, you know, it's funny. He's like, I don't want to get political, but, you know, by golly, I got to talk about this. And, you know, he's pretty reasonable, though. And, he tries to, you know, have that expansive gesture where he's like, you know, he's got his boys. He tries to be reasonable. He worries about his friends who, you know, maybe are a bit more biased in a narrow area. Another podcast that I got to watch tomorrow is T3PO. You know who's cool? What's that guy? Vash Sky. Vash Sky is like the most wholesome nerd in that group. Now, but he's a gentleman too. All right, so what was I typing? Curtis Selby. One of these days, if you're ever available, I would love to have you on. And if you're not available, that's cool too. But I know what's his name said he would be on the show. One of these days. Oh crap! I closed the window. I know what's his name. Deleted Scenes expressed a willingness. I joked. I said when I grow up, I want to have deleted scenes on my show. And he's like, oh yeah, you know, actually, DJ, I wouldn't mind that. And I was like, heck yeah. There you go. So that's Curtis's channel right there if you guys want to check that out. He does not play Yoko Ono going, you know, he does not play the F1 Yoko Ono race car engine. Remember 3802. Ron, off to make Texas First Amendment audit. Make a Texas First Amendment audit. 3802. I'm sure my brain it'll come back to my brain shortly. But yeah, so this is Pinocchio right over here. This right over here, this application here, that window, right? And so you'll see, like, I got this thing called Hallow. This is like a thing where you take a sound file and you supply it to Hallow. And I think I recorded a clip from a porn star, and I used that to make like a porn star. Let me see if I still have my porn star here. Oh, do I have to reload it? Okay, at one point, I was able to make it, like, it would say, hello, how can I help you? In a very messed up voice. Like, it didn't really sound like the actual porn star, but it was worth a shot. You know, I was like, let's see if I can do this, you know? Just for fun. So I have a personal assistant who can say, hello, how can I help you? Now, there's a trick to operating this, and I always forget how to operate this, but it's not difficult, really. But there is a trick to this. So, like, one of these, I think, ties into a web UI, I believe. I think that's basically how you do this. You go through like a web UI. So it'll usually spin up like an instance that you can pull up through a browser. And I always forget how to do this part. So yeah, I'm probably not the guy to educate you on how to use Pinocchio this moment. Oops. How do I get out of this? But you also got like flash diffusion and like basically, so this is like the back end. And then sometimes it'll direct you. Sometimes you click on something over here. Like there's some settings here. Your terminal is here. Your sharing environment. No, let me see if we can figure this out. Okay, so these are some instructions here. Run a public node. Share with local network. And these are just the files that make it work. So that's not exactly what I'm looking for. Oh, I see. That makes the bar. Okay, that hides the sidebar. Okay, we're going to go back to home. Experimental directly open Pinocchio apps from your favorite browser address bar. Okay, so now this opens it up in my web browser, which is on my left monitor. But okay, there we go. So we're going to go to my main monitor now. So if you look over here, we're going to get rid of this. We're going to shrink or hide this chat window, I think, right? Even though it's probably a better way to do this. We're going to do that for now. And I'm going to put this over here. So basically, look, you got drag and drop an image over here. Then you get an audio file. And then somewhere around here, you get to specify what you want to type in, I think, if you wanted to say something else. We can take a picture of a webcam. We can record audio with the microphone here. And then you got your output over here. So that's one way. But I feel like I'm overlooking a lot of stuff here. So let me just see here. Let me just verify. Let me see if I can find a picture. Or maybe I could take a picture using the camera button. I'm going to open up the virtual camera. Oh, crap. Chrome is going to probably conk out when I try to do this. Which camera is it even using? Yeah, no, that's not going to happen right now. I was not even planning on doing an AI how-to stream today, so, yeah. Let me see. I'm going to try something here. I'm going to open up. Oh, what's that? Oops. That is my green screen. Okay, open up an image. Let me see if I got a generic picture. I'm looking at my folders right now. For like, okay, good. We got a female movie star. Now we're going to record audio. So I believe if I click allow microphone, this is a test. Okay, good. We got it now. So we put a lady star up there. So now I'm going to say something raunchy. Can we erase this or do I just re-record? All right. Hello. How can I help you today, good sir? Okay, I didn't say that in English, but... Hello. How can I help you today, good sir? All right, now, okay, so I got a lady, and I got this. Now what do I do? Do I just hit this button here? Is that all I do? No. There's more. Submit. Okay, so we're going to just do this. We're going to click submit. Now it's generating stuff. So now it's using up my GPU to do things, right? So let's take a look at my GPU activity here. Okay, so it looks like GPU 1 is doing a lot of the work right here. And what about CUDA cores? CUDA is doing a little bit of something. And maybe if we go to one of the compute, thingies here. And you can see it's using up a pretty significant amount of VRAM too. Let's see if we can get an idea of how much VRAM we're actually using. We go to, I think actually, is that, can we do video RAM? I don't think I have video memory listed here, but Pinocchio and is there some Python running here? There's Python running right there. Python's using 8 gigs of RAM right now. I know Python was inefficient, but holy crap. And like you can see my RAM is like up to like half of my total RAM is currently in use. CPU utilization had a little bit of a spike right there. So yeah, you know, definitely pretty intensive. Is it done yet? No, it's still processing right now. It's 70 seconds so far elapsed. So yeah, we're taking this this movie star in quotations, and we're gonna use her. That sounds awful. To generate a movie star who talks like me. I think. I don't know if I think I have to use another AI tool to get it to like speak like me. Oh, error. Of course there's an error because it didn't sound sexy enough. Let's try that again. Maybe the way my speech pattern, maybe it can't enunciate. Maybe it ran out of memory. I don't know, but yeah, it's pretty experimental. But you know, point is that you know maybe I'm not the brightest tool in the shed, but a lot of other people probably going to be pretty challenged by this. I think at one point I used a voice using Open Voice, and then I exported it and imported it into the other thing. I mean, it doesn't really matter. You can do it any number of ways. Hey, let's try it out. So we clicked on English on the left side panel, right? I have thought about building a little weather station for 2 reasons. One, it would be helpful because if I contribute, the models in my area would be more accurate. Like I could literally become like a citizen weather observer or contributor. And who knows, maybe I can collect data and, you know, have a, you know, maybe I could like, you know, learn more about climate change or something. But I don't even know where to begin because like, I don't know how to measure whether carbon is coming from an undersea volcano or from industrial pollutants. And at the end of the day, the solutions being floated, I think, are garbage anyway. So it doesn't really matter if someone believes or denies climate change. It's like the solutions aren't going to actually solve the stated issue anyway. They're just going to waste time, money, and resources. But getting back on topic here. So this looks like a speech synthesis tool, but you can record stuff from the microphone. So let me see here. Like I got an idea. The quick brown fox did something today. The quick brown fox did something today. The quick brown fox. All right, so we got my reference audio plus the thing, right? I'm gonna remove the punctuation. I don't know if we need it or not. And I don't know what's going to happen here. I honestly don't know what's going to happen in the least. I'll set an extra 100 gigs in the VRAM. Slower, but nice to have. Virtual memory, yeah. Well, I was talking about video memory or graphical memory, but yeah, I did have to. So remember when I crashed Space Engine some weeks ago?
The quick brown fox did something today.
Oh, that's interesting. It doesn't sound like me anymore. So I can go from sounding like my beautiful self to sounding like a guy with a lispy, like a lispy zoomer. I can sound like a lispy zoomer if I want.
Have you become expert in the
Okay, so this is the reference audio.
Have you learned?
So what I did was to get the porn star to speak, I had to get an audio clip of the porn star and I had to import it into this.
The quick brown fox.
And then once I did that, I typed in, "Hello, how can I help you?" So I would have had to like, you know, basically like the voice it's using is coming from this generic recording right here.
The state of the art. Have you have deep technical knowledge on the state of art and deep learning?
So basically, you supply an audio sample here, then you type what you want here, and in this case, we use my own voice as a reference. So I'm absolutely confused here. Fox did it.
Have you
Something. Okay, so I got an idea. We're gonna close this one. Okay, I know what I gotta do. Okay, got this. We're gonna try one more. We're gonna give it a quick run right now. Oh man, I kind of regret installing that app. So I installed an app called Disk Sentinel, and it's got these cute icons. It's telling me like, you know, green, check mark green. It's telling me my RAID array is busted. I don't think it really is busted, but it's saying it's busted. But I didn't know that this app was gonna override my icons. I just wanted an app that would let me scan my hard drives or something to tell me if they're on the verge of failing, especially these removable disks right here. But that is another topic. We're going to touch on space very briefly in a moment, but we're going to try to get this picture here. So I just went into my pictures folder. I want to make sure I didn't have anything sketchy on screen. Okay, we got our reference audio. We're going to drag and drop it into Pinocchio, right? So there's our reference audio. So now we're going to go and try this again. I honestly don't know if this will work. We'll just give it a, okay, this time. Get target tone color error. What color? There's no color. We're talking about audio here. All right, so as you can see, this is going to take a little bit more tinkering around. Wait, maybe that'll work? Nah, okay, yeah. So I don't know. You get the idea. As they say in the Hangout circles, F around and find out. Actually, they don't say that in references. But Pinocchio is interesting. He's got a lot of abilities. Play around with it if you're interested. What I liked about Pinocchio was, like, you didn't have to follow long instructions to even download these things. Like, obviously, yeah, you know, it may not work out of the starting gate. You know, I'm sure I'm doing something wrong. But installing these things was, you know, easier than it might be otherwise. If I, you know, was, like, less experienced, this would be the tool to use at home if I didn't want to use online, you know, software. If I didn't want to use a browser, a web app, or something like that. But, audio color, dev drug use detected, developer drug use detected. Attenborough AI voice. When they presented it to him and asked for permission, he thought it was hilarious. Yo, I gotta say, I love. Someone was bitching like a week ago. I was watching some video and they used the David Attenborough thing, and someone was like, "Oh man, that's messed up." And I forget. It might have been like a topic that was kind of slightly somber, but I was like, "Come on, man, have a sense of humor. That shit is funny." So, two things. So, this is my backyard telescope, right? And this is actually, I have the lens cap on. But what happened was the past few days, I had a very good imaging run. Like, literally, since last Tuesday, the weather was clear enough to get good astrophotography images, right? So, as a result, I was able to, you know, test out automating the process. And it was pretty successful because normally I have to manually, you know, aim the telescope. Then I have to manually focus. And every time I want to switch to a different filter, and basically each filter represents a different color. So every time I want to switch to a different filter, I have to redo the focus manually. So after getting autofocus working, it meant now that I can I can click on a target, the telescope aims itself at the target. Then I click a button up here that does something called plate solving, and that basically will verify if I'm aiming at the target, and it'll automatically recenter the target. So that takes a lot of guesswork out of aiming the telescope. Then, if I want to pick a different filter, I would pick the filter, and I have to manually do the focus. But now instead, you know, I do everything I just said. Then I run the autofocus routine, and then I take pictures. But every time I switch to a different filter, I gotta redo the autofocus. However, there's a feature in here which I recorded some videos on my weekends, so I got to edit a video. If I ever want to edit the video, I can actually upload a video showing you how this works. But essentially, you tell it what filter to use, and then when you click run, it literally switches from one filter to the other. And every time it's like done, so it takes like it goes to the red filter, takes 5 pictures, switches to the blue filter, runs the autofocus, takes 5 pictures, switches to green, runs the autofocus, takes 5 pictures, and so on and so forth. And this meant that, like, I could take pictures in all of the necessary filters with the right settings, and then have enough. Because the problem is that many times I'll collect multiple pictures in one filter, but I'll be missing imagery in another filter. So I won't have enough raw data to, you know, build a quality, you know, composite. I won't have enough data to process a final image. Speaking of the imagery, let's see what we captured. Yes. So interestingly, Slim, speaking of, it takes time to get a full exposure of anything. And it's true because, like, you got to take multiple pictures of everything on any given filter. And sometimes people will put like 10 hours or 18 hours of cumulative imagery, raw data into everything they're capturing, right? Like, I find the Andromeda galaxy to be like the most unrewarding target because even on a long exposure, you barely see anything. So that was taken on a blue filter. This was taken 1 minute exposure on a different filter, but if it's a 1 minute, I'm looking for like a 10-minute exposure right now. That's what I'm looking for. So it's not going to be the, oh, here we are, 10 minutes, 600 seconds, and the filter is hydrogen alpha. So hydrogen alpha is a very, very, very particular shade of ruby red. And starting out, you might not see much, right? You can see a hint of what looks like North America. Let me see if we can flip the image over. Flip vertically. It might be backwards, but I'm not sure. This may or may not be upside down. So what we do is, like, we're going to, just stretch the histogram so we have enough detail that you can see something, right? And you can see, like, it looks a bit like the North America connecting to, Central America here. That's why they call it the North American Nebula. Now, obviously, it's a black and white image, but we used a hydrogen filter, which is a particular shade of red. So we're going to switch to the Cinnabar filter. Now, forgetting about all of this, there's two things. With a 10-minute exposure, if we purposely crank up the exposure, we should be able to reveal the amp glow, which is actually surprisingly tame right now. But we can see some on the right over here. So we're going to zoom in on that part of the image. So you can see there's like white streak right over here. But in the image in its original form, you also saw these white dots. These are not stars. So some of these are stars. Like these imperfect ones, that's a star, and this is a star, but only in one little part of the EM spectrum. But these white pixels and these gray pixels, or half red pixels, these are image sensor defects and hot pixels. And so we take multiple pictures of the nebula so that we can stack them together in order to get more detail, in order to get more contrast. And then we add in the stars separately later, or we re-add them. But when you're stacking the images, if I stack them, these white dots are going to end up looking like little tiny streaks. They're going to ruin the image, or at least make it harder to make the image look good. So we got to take a dark frame. We got to take a calibration frame, or calibration frames. And that's what this folder here that says docs. This is not a racist file folder. This is actually a folder that contains docs. And actually, these are the ones that were not good that I captured today because the temperature was too high to capture a good doc. But this is a good example. This is I believe this is a 10-minute exposure in a doc frame. And you can see right here that we have the white specks. We have the thingy over here, right? We got all of this stuff. We got the amp glow. So this can be canceled out because basically when you apply this to the stack of images, as long as the settings are the same, so same exposure time, same gain or ISO, and the same temperature, and we can set the temperature on the image sensor, you'll have the same level of noise. Now, we might be able to demonstrate something cool, or not so cool, actually, kind of a pun. So we're gonna open up like all of the docs that we have here. Okay, so we're gonna do this. I know what we're gonna do. Oops. Oh, it won't let me copy and paste like that. Okay, so these were all taken at slightly different temperatures. So these 3 pictures here were all taken with the lens cap installed on the camera. And yet, despite that, you can see the dark current. So essentially at different temperatures and different conditions, the dark pattern in the background is going to vary from each photo. In some pictures, you're going to see the same pixel defects. In other images, you're going to see new ones or in slightly different places. So we take multiple calibration frames, like usually 20 of them if we can get. So right here, same thing. We got, amp glow. And it's because I couldn't get the temperature down enough. So these are like defunct. Now, let's take a look at how we do this. So to capture dark frames, we put the lens cap on the telescope. Then we set it to take a picture with the same settings that I used for taking pictures the other night. So I had it set for either a 1, 2, 5, or 10-minute exposure. So 10 minutes is 600 seconds. Now, the critical thing is the temperature. Now, if the temperature after a 10-minute exposure is not cold, you're going to see a lot more noise than if you do cool down the sensor. Now, since I took the pictures at negative 10 degrees centigrade, that is the setting we have here. Now, I wanted to generate these calibration frames while I was at work, but with the canvas cover and Mylar over the telescope itself, there wasn't enough airflow to cool the outside of the camera. So in order to cool it down to negative 10, it had to run at like 98% power. And if you're using like more than 70% power to maintain a certain temperature, it can likely turn into a losing battle. Whereas right now, what I did was I kept the cover on most of the telescope to limit any light. Even though I have a lens cap, I wanted to make sure there was no stray light getting into the back of the telescope for any reason. But I kept the camera fully exposed so it's getting airflow. So tonight, before bed, and I don't have work tomorrow, I took the day off tomorrow, we can actually generate... Oh yeah, by the way, I forgot to mention, guys, I'm probably going to move the Monday show to like Thursday or Wednesday. I'll put a poll out during the week, but if you guys have opinions in the chat, let me know if there's a particular day that you'd prefer. But I'm leaning towards like Wednesday or Thursday. I just think those are the ideal days. Maybe Tuesday, but I feel like I'll be really tired on Tuesday. But I got to stop doing this on Monday. It's killing me. I might pilot test like Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, and then commit to a particular day. So ultimately, I do want to go back to having a consistent schedule. I think doing a show on Mondays has been really great because, like, you guys know where to find me, and it works out. So, I won't, maintain. I was thinking about doing a variable schedule, but I realized that's probably not a good idea. So might pilot test a couple of different days, but ultimately I intend on settling on one particular day unless there's a valid reason to, do it differently. So I just want to let you guys know. But yeah, Mondays, like normally have work on Tuesdays, so it's like if I do a Monday show, it's not good for me. Like imagine if I had work tomorrow and I go to bed at 1, I won't even fall asleep till 3 a.m. probably. Like I'm wired. I got these blue lights and everything in front of me. What's up, awesome one? Good to see you. Hey, what's up, Raquel SSG 2211? A nebula but faint. I'll show you a nebula but faint. Okay, that was me fainting. Now it's not showing my filter wheel, so we're gonna do a little gamble here. We're gonna disconnect the camera and reconnect it, and hopefully all of the peripherals come back up. Dude, it's good to see you. It's going pretty well, Raquel SSG 2211. My most favorite movie I can't find free. Spring, summer, fall, winter, spring. It's a weird name. I mean, it's not weird, it's just a long name. Spring, summer, fall, winter, spring. The trick is, Ronnie, you do a show live when you have the next night off. Then you can post a video anytime during the week. That's true. Well, like I say, like as long as I'm maintaining the consistent schedule, I mean, like I say, I could do this on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday with great ease. Like I could even do it on Friday, but Friday I tend to go out on Friday night, and I have a couple of friends, like Floral from Under a Rock, who have their own shows, and so That's kind of sketchy. Oh, I think that's why it's telling me the hard drive is unhealthy. I'm sorry, I'm looking at something else. This hard drive has 2,584 bad sectors on the disk surface. That's kind of sketchy. All right, I'm gonna have to investigate that. That's a little concerning. I might be buying some 8 terabyte hard drives very soon to replace questionable hard disk drives. Oh man, that's funny. Okay. Anyway, getting back on topic. So we're gonna reconnect the camera. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but that's why. Well, one, I did. I'll be honest, awesome one. I did kind of schedule. I started this stream really late. I didn't normally. I try to pre-schedule the Monday show today. I got started really late because I took for granted that I would be off tomorrow from work. But that might be a factor. We are currently streaming on YouTube, Rumble, and Twitter X, and I don't know if I have any messages on Rumble, but if I do, I haven't seen any. No, okay, no, because I do feel bad. Last week, somebody did leave a message on Rumble, and I didn't see it. And, it's just like, I barely get anybody on Rumble, so when somebody tunes in on Rumble, I'd really like to acknowledge them, So, basically, we have a filter wheel, right? We have a carousel of different filters that sit right in front of the image sensor. And so, by clicking this button here, I can switch between red, green, blue, and the narrowband filters. I always like to do my dark calibration frames in hydrogen alpha or any narrowband filter, because if there is any stray light, it does help this, limit incoming stray light. Otherwise, it's pretty inconsequential. So once I switch to the hydrogen filter, I can actually disconnect the filter wheel. And we're going to go ahead and generate calibration. So number one, well, let's do a little demonstration first. So we're gonna do a 60-second exposure. Oh, before we do, I gotta click on a button here. We have to tell it that we want to go into 16-bit color mode. So we're gonna load a preset. I gotta move this chat window up where I can see it. I keep bending my head down to see the chat window. Oh, that's better. Rumble is okay, it just needs more traffic on it. Yeah, I mean, overall, I had trouble with getting the stream key and all of that, but, I'm willing to just go through the effort for now until I learn to use Rumble Studio to, maybe get a permanent stream key. It's not too bad. Use some comment on your star drive. So here we are. So we got camera presets loaded. So to calibrate, we're gonna start with a 60-second set, right, just to kind of show how this works. So right now the image sensor is at 9.2 degrees and rising, 9.2 centigrade, or for you Canadians, 9.2 Celsius. I use freedom units, so I can't actually tell you how hot or cold 9 degrees is, but I do know that 0 degrees centigrade is equivalent to 32 degrees in freedom units, Fahrenheit. I can also tell you that 200 degrees centigrade or Celsius is equivalent to like 400 degrees in my temperature. So, that's basically tells me don't touch my 3D printer nozzle when it's 200 degrees because it'll be much hotter in freedom units. So anyway, with a 60-second exposure, it's literally going to generate, a frame similar to this. Remember, we have the lens cap installed, and we're going to get that in about 20 seconds. And then we're going to get one more with the temperature set to low, so you guys have an idea of, like what cooling the camera does. The camera, of course, as at risk of repeating myself, has a thermoelectric cooling device on it. It is a thing that basically removes heat from the image sensor in order to reduce the noise, such as these white speckle patterns that we're seeing right now. In fact, yeah, that's it. That's a 60-second exposure, right? So this is when we goose up the gain setting. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to we're going to cool down the image sensor right now. So it was at 9 degrees. It's at 11 degrees right now. So it's going from 11, 10. Now the next picture might not be a radically different image, but it's probably going to look a little different. And it's good to see. That's funny. What's up, DJ Play Nice? That's funny. Raquel went to tag DJ Play Nice and tagged DJ Ronnie G instead. Yeah, you know how many times people like I'll be in a YouTube chat and they'll be like Deej, and I'll look up and it'll be Deej Odyssey, or they're like DJ. I'm like, huh? Or they're like DJ Play Nice, and I'm like, what did I do? And it's like they're not talking to me. You know, like when I first met DJ Play Nice, I thought someone was telling me to play nice. I was like, what did I do? I didn't even do anything. What do you mean play nice? All right, so bottom right corner, we see a little progress bar. So this is the 60-second exposure. Now the temperature is at 0 centigrade. So we're getting pretty close to, you know, the desired temperature of -10. But we're already at a low enough temperature. I think we're going to be able to see the results speak for themselves. Now, for every 5 degrees lower, you do get a significant reduction in noise. But when you get closer to -15 degrees, you hit the wall of diminishing returns. There we go. See that? Did you see that? The image was lighter and now it got darker. So that's proof. If you hit the rewind button, you'll see it too. You'll see that when this progress bar got to the end, the one on the bottom here, the image got dark because the temperature successfully got to like -6 degrees. So now in the dead of winter, I'll set the camera to -15. But during the autumn, spring, and summer, -10 is like the temperature that I'm most likely able to maintain year round. I can maintain -15 in the dead of winter, but -10 I can maintain year round except on the hot summer nights. On a hot summer night, I'm lucky if I can set the camera to 0 degrees Celsius. But the thing is that if it's that hot outside, chances are the seeing conditions are not going to be that good. So it's kind of like it's kind of pointless to do astronomical imaging on a hot summer night because of that. But in this case, yeah, we're going to set it to -10. You can see the noise pattern goes down, and that's on a 60 seconds. So you can imagine how bad a 10-second exposure looks. So now, I think, what did I say? 20 pictures, right? So if I want to get calibration frames that will allow me to stack the nebula that I just showed you, we got more pictures. Like, I can show you real quick. So, hopefully my server doesn't have any failing hard drives in it because I just copied all of the data to my server. And by copied, I mean I moved. Oh, we got some pictures of Polaris. Let's see how that looks. It's kind of boring. Polaris, the North Star. And I set the telescope to rotate as the Earth was rotating. But when I took these pictures, it was actually cloudy outside. So I did take it in a hydrogen alpha filter to help reduce the amount of noise on the sensor. But yeah, if you zoom in on this bright star, it is actually a binary star. And I think somewhere here, I think the arm of the Big Dipper is somewhere here. But don't quote me on that. Anyway, that's a boring picture anyway. I get the same one. I get the same when someone says game in chat. M34. I think M34 is going to be cool. I don't remember what M34 is, but I think it's a cool object. Let's see if we can find out. Oh, it might be a star cluster. That's like a star cluster. Yeah, that's some kind of star cluster. We're going to try something. Oof. And basically, we capture these white stars with a red, green, and blue filter. We stack each set, and then we combine the 3 colors. And this should yield some vibrant color. Like, the stars should actually come in a variation of colors when it gets combined. And so, the only thing that prevented me from stacking... Look, we got red, green, blue, and hydrogen alpha. We got... red. Oh, this one's great. This one's cool. This is the inchworm cluster. Now, inchworm cluster is basically a star cluster that sits in front of a nebula. And so you capture the red, green, and blue, and then you capture the hydrogen alpha separately. We use hydrogen alpha, which is once again ionized hydrogen gas, to capture the nebula, to capture that gaseous, nebulosity. Meow. Meow, everyone. YouTube is blocking me commenting with my normal account. I wonder why. What's up, Moira? I wonder why YouTube is blocking you right now, Moira. Could it have something to do with current events? Which is kind of messed up, but, you know. But jokes aside, it is lovely seeing you, and I love the cat motif. You know me, I love my turtles. You love your cats. And most animals are pretty good. Most of them. All right, good. So you can already see, you can see the star cluster in the middle, right? That's the inchworm cluster. And down here, you can see a hint of some cloudiness, right? So since I took this in hydrogen alpha, we're going to switch it to like red scale, just so you guys get like a rough idea. And I mean a very rough idea, like, you know, of what we're dealing with here. So many ways to, you know, go about doing this. Yeah, I was about to say there's many ways to skin a cat, but we're not going to say that today, not with the news being what it is. And I think it is upside down. So we're going to flip it vertically. There we go. That's how it looks on the star map. And basically, like, you can see, like, we're going to over-exaggerate it a little bit. But you can see how, like, up here in the top left quadrant, there's, like, some, you know, let's get to 100% zoom. So you can see how, like this area has, like, gaps, dark spots, and light spots. And there's, like, a lot of patterns. There's a lot of shades here. So the more images of this type that we stack together, the more images we stack, the more shades of detail, the more dynamic range, the more contrast we can get out of this. And the more control over the light pollution we can get, which is part of why I capture everything in separate filters. Because it allows me to, you know, keep control over light pollution. Now, here's another example. We got like a star, and next to this star, you have more nebulosity. And so essentially what's happening is, you know, I'm not saying this is, like once again, until I do the actual processing, this isn't going to be quite representative of reality, but this gives you a good idea. And you can see how, like, oops, right behind this star here, we got like this like area. So what's happening is the nebula doesn't necessarily light up. It could light up, I guess. You know, it's ionized gas. But what's happening is the sunlight, which is also emitting the hydrogen alpha wavelength of light, is reflecting that light off of the nebula itself. And so that's essentially what we're seeing. We're seeing this solar or sunlight, starlight, big ass, it looks like a really big star too, reflecting off of that. So that's the gist of what we're dealing with there. And so the thing is that in order to stack any of this raw data, because that's what this is raw data. And we use a black and white camera because I'm in a suburb of New York City. And, oh, that's cool. We're in a suburb of New York City. And if I'm pointing anywhere in my northeast or northern sky, I'm either going to be pointing at Jersey City, Bayonne, Manhattan, Brooklyn. And all of these areas create a lot of sky glow. Now, luckily, they stopped maintaining the 9/11 memorial. They used to have this 9/11 memorial where if you looked in this direction, the Twin Towers, you would have these beams of light shooting up from the hole in the ground where the Twin Towers used to stand. And it would definitely like just make a weird type of light pollution there. So right now the telescope is in the park position with the lens cap installed, so there's no point in moving the reticle. But you know, in a normal imaging session, we move it, and you can actually see like a clumping of stars here, like almost like, see how like this pattern here? So we're actually looking at the Milky Way galaxy from inside the galaxy we're in. And so that's why a lot of objects that are within our own galaxy can all be seen along this line. And usually what I try to do is I try to aim at objects that are either in our own galaxy that are flying overhead. So this is the meridian. This, like, if you were to like look straight up, this would be directly overhead. And so as the Earth rotates, you can see how like there's an imaginary dome over my head, and everything is moving in this imaginary dome. You can see like if I'm looking north, this is what everything looks like when I'm looking north. And so if we fast forwarded time right now, this is what everything looks like. And so to make it easier to see what's going on, we turn on the equatorial grid, because now we can see Polaris, the North Star, which is how I align my mount. And if my mount is aligned against Polaris, if it's aligned against Polaris, we can effectively counteract the rotation of the planet Earth. So once we counteract the Earth's rotation, then we, you know, basically can track a target during a long exposure. Now, Andromeda, very unrewarding. So what do we want to do? Well, let's do what was it? The inchworm cluster looks in my history, because I already done it. And now this is interesting. The inchworm cluster is already really low, which seems a little weird to me. Is it already like, I guess it is. Okay, so you know what? Had it been like a little bit earlier in the night, yeah, I see now. So during the past week, I would be shooting inchworm cluster around 2200 hours, right? Like 11, let's say, or 10 p.m. So reason I do that is I tend to favor targets that are overhead because there's going to be less atmosphere between me and the target. And especially if you have humidity or water vapor, that is going to refract. It's going to scatter light pollution. So, you know, this is another way of, so we deal with light pollution by, you know, essentially using separate filters for every color. Because if we capture each color separately, we can then tweak out the wavelengths of light that we don't want. Some of these filters, including the red, green, and blue filters, are optimized to exclude light from sodium, high-pressure sodium lamps, street lights, and mercury vapor lamps, except that a lot of new street lamps are now LEDs, and so, yeah, you know, it's like not as predictable, which is okay because I have a way of dealing with that. Here's a filamentary nebula, right? That's another one, but we got to get back to inchworm. So we're going to go to inchworm cluster. This red square represents the image sensor that I shoot on. So if we rotate it, which let me see if we could switch the. Oh, there we go. That's better, I guess. A little bit. Okay, well, that'll have to do for now. So this was the target we were capturing. Oh, it's upside down, I think. Something seems off about it, but we're not going to worry about that right now, all right? What does that button even do? Is that altitude or azimuth? I got to play with that later. All right. Let me make sure I'm doing this right. Okay, so okay, that makes more sense. No, wait, that doesn't make sense. Oh, okay, yeah, that's, wait a second. Okay, that is equatorial. Okay, good. So that's the equatorial view, which is going to be a little annoying to navigate. Sometimes I don't like using equatorial mode, not for navigating the star map, but it is more accurate. This is how the mount actually moves. The mount moves in these circular arcs in order to gain, you know, the target. But getting back to the target. So yeah, bottom line is that's the target. That's what I just showed you guys. So you got the star cluster in the middle. You got the nebula. I think it's upside down right now, but that is basically the gist of it. And I'm pretty sure this square is not correct. We're going to fix it right now. So we need to rotate. Yep, now that thing's off. It's got to be 90. Oh, yeah, no, that thing's wrong. So it's going to be 90 degrees rotated. There we go. This is the correct orientation. I don't know why that square was the wrong orientation, but now if we switch to azimuth mode, this is a more accurate. This is actually what we saw. So that's the bright star that's called Sadr, S-A-D-R. That's the cluster, and then this is that empty part of the nebula that I was showing you guys before. So, you know, we definitely. I'll catch you later, Raquel, SSG 2211. I hope you have a wonderful night. So that's the gist of it. You know, that's how we. You know, we're gonna take dozens of pictures, and I didn't think that a 10-minute exposure would work, but because I have like very particular ultra narrowband filters, they're more optimized for excluding unwanted light. And so with an ultra narrowband filter, you're letting in a very narrow sliver of hydrogen light or hydrogen alpha. But it also means that even though you're forced to do longer exposures, those longer exposures are not going to have as much of a negative impact over, over how much light pollution I end up absorbing, because they're already limiting light transmission or unwanted light transmission. So I hope that makes sense there. Mind blown. I like the one cat's eye nebula. Oh yeah, that's cool. I like the cats in the cradle. Endless space is upside down. Speaking of endless space, I think we did enough with the telescope calibration, but real quick we're going to just tee it off. So to tee off calibration, we have it on 60-second exposures. So that's 20 minutes my time, right? So I might as well do those first. Before I go to bed, I wanted to do the 10-minute exposures so that I can process the 10-minute data tomorrow. But we're going to do capture dark. And then after we click capture dark, we specify how many we want. We want 20 of them. We want to put them into the dark library. that has nothing to do with Warhammer 40k, but it does sound like it has something to do with Warhammer 40k. And we click start. Now, sometimes they say the more the merrier. Other people will argue that more isn't better. But that's it. Now I just let it be. Now it's going to take 20 pictures, 20 1-minute exposures of blankness. And by blankness, that includes, where's the amp glow? Let's see if we can find that amp glow. Can we click on the amp glow right now? Oh, yeah, we could. Good. I want to show you guys the amp glow one more time. You know, oh, there we go. There's the amp glow. See the amp glow? It's like that song, that Daft Punk song. One more time. Do I sound like a robot? One more time. Okay, I'm not going to sing. I'm not allowed to sing, by the way. It's true. I'm not allowed to sing. But yeah, you know, so basically, these blank pictures that have stuff in the frame, even though the lens cap is on, are going to be our key to stacking the raw data that I just showed you guys. Oops, I clicked on the wrong thing. And sometimes it's like a little tricky to get it to, you know. It's interesting. I'm surprised I'm not seeing any of this stuff. Whatever, see it there. So you get the idea, right? So we're going to remove the hot pixels. We're going to remove the dark current because like any of that, those dark splotchy areas, you can see like where it gets a little darker in various areas. We're going to cancel out all of that crap. And so, yeah, I got to do, once again, I got to do 20 minutes worth of 1-minute exposures. Then what's 5 times 10? That's 50 minutes. So that'd be like an hour, you know, it'd be almost 2 hours. So that's a tough one. I can't believe that there's no real way to automate capturing dark exposures unless I use another method to automate it, which I'm not crazy about doing. But yeah, that's an option. One more time, 9 cubed. 9999. I love Galaxy Express 39. A great Japanese anime. You would think it would be dumb because it involves a space train, but no, it's a great series. It's just as cerebral as Star Trek, if not more so. Now, 2 things. Tonight's a very humid night, and we also have a nearly full moon. It is passing over the southern sky, so that means that it won't be, like last week it was over here too, so it hasn't been impinging on my imaging too badly. But let's take a look at the weather map that I check when I'm doing this real quick. So I like to use the GOES East Sector or Northeast Sector satellite view. So if we go here, we click on Northeast. Where is it? Northeast. I can't see it. Here we go. We're going to open up day-night cloud micro combo RGB. Day cloud reflectance, night low clouds and fog. So this is showing you some low clouds and fog. So when I looked outside before, there's some thin clouds and humidity, and you can see that here too. I've had nights where the weather forecast said it was going to be a clear sky, but it turned out that I would have this like red or purple crap flying over me. So sometimes you gotta have a clear night, but it looks like you have this red stuff in the map. And when you look down here, the red stuff is number 8. Which is a high, thick cloud, dark red. So there's nights where there are no clouds in the sky, technically, according to the forecast, but when you use a telescope, the image looks like crap, and it's because of the red stuff. Or you got a high, thin cloud. Or you got a high, thin ice cloud. So if there's ice crystals at high altitudes, you're going to pick up on that. And then they got like low, warm clouds. So that aqua color is like the lower altitude of humidity. And apparently, like my part of New York right now, near the edge of Long Island, is getting all of the unwanted moisture. So I better make sure that I cover my telescope camera up if it does rain. Because right now, the telescope is covered, but the camera is not covered because I need to be able to get ventilation. We need to let that camera cool down. And I do want to say hello and welcome LCX to the chat today. It is an honor to have you here. Really, LCX has some fire content, and I mean that in a good way. Great quality content, a great art school. I should definitely drop the link for the art school. In fact, LCX gave me a wrench. Do you want a wrench, LCX? I mean, I don't want to put you on the spot. If you don't want a wrench, I won't give you one. But if you don't mind getting a wrench, I'll give you a wrench. You're more than welcome to drop the link to your art school if you want. But yeah, like, you know, it's like, yeah, good quality content. But anyway, I don't want to put you on the spot. But what you call it? So basically, let me see here. There we go. In case you want to drop a link or anything like that. Excellent. Cool. That makes my life easy. Of course, I'd be happy to share your link out, but of course, you're welcome to share your link out too. So yeah, basically, we're going to capture our calibration frames. Just to catch you up, I don't know how long you've been here, LCX, but basically what we did was I was showing some astrophotography from last week because I finally got my telescope to behave in a somewhat automated manner. And so, for example, this is the inchworm cluster, which is accentuated by a nebula. It's got a nebula behind it, which is that, cloud-like stuff in the background, which we are basically trying to reveal by stretching the histogram in an unholy manner. Ultimately, to get more detail, we have to take multiple pictures of the same object and stack them in order to, basically get some dynamic range, to get more contrast and more detail. And that's what we were doing for the past about 10 minutes we were talking about. So this is a very rough preview of what the imaging would look like. Excellent. Cool. I'm honored to be able to share, to have your link in my chat. But yeah, no, cool content. I'm actually quite envious of her setup. She got like a cool art setup, yo. I gotta say, it's like, imagine a VTuber, but who actually has their shit together, where they got different rooms. That's a good setup, though. Anyway, moving along. So yeah, like I said, we're gonna get 20 minutes. I'm knowing you guys are not gonna sit here for the 20 minutes worth of dark frames. But I'm gonna get 21-minute exposures, and then by the time I go to bed, it's gonna be capturing the 10-minute exposures. So I think I'm gonna do the 5-minute exposures while I'm awake. And I'm going to do the 10-minute exposures while I'm going to bed. And I'm just going to cross my fingers that the image sensor, that the thermoelectric cooling device can maintain the temperature of -10. Now, good news is, since I removed the cover from the back of the telescope and the camera is exposed, it's only drawing 50% power to maintain this temperature. So that actually bodes well for having a complete night. I am an amateur astronomer. Emphasis on amateur. No, but I'm learning. I've been gradually doing this for a while. I think I got to upload more videos of my setup. But, I've been building this setup for like 5 years and building it all piecemeal. Now, tonight is definitely not a good imaging night. And that is why I'm focusing on capturing calibration frames. Because when you take a lot of long exposures, you got to, have calibration frames, dark subtraction, basically subtract the unwanted noise by taking a bunch of darks. I still got to do that work on that game. You know what sucks? Yo, awesome one. So speaking of Game Boys, I picked up a Game Boy Pocket, a beautiful specimen, right? And I wanted to maybe put a backlight in it. So I opened it up. I tried to see did someone mess up the ribbon, the flex cable for the screen? Turned out that the Game Boy Pocket I bought, I got a good price on it, so I'm not really upset, but somebody else attempted to put a backlight into the Game Boy Pocket. Apparently, putting a backlight on a Game Boy Pocket or an original Game Boy is not a trivial matter at all. It's super easy to mess up the LCD, the dot matrix LCD on it. It's really easy to mess it up beyond repair. And apparently that's what the person who had it before me did. So yeah, the next option I think for that particular Game Boy, you can't buy the original screen. There's just no original Game Boy Pocket screens out in the wild. So the alternative is to buy an IPS screen that costs more than I care to pay for it. And that, like I said, is going to eat batteries like no tomorrow, as we were talking about with Wade earlier today. Yeah, a hobbyist and an enthusiast. I would say I'm an enthusiast. Oh my God, speaking of that shit. Oh, yeah, dude, I don't doubt it, L. Because, my mouse pointer disappeared. Wait, where's my mouse pointer? Oh, goodness gracious. I was going to show you guys a star map, but apparently my mouse pointer disappeared. Okay, we got it back. So, yeah, apparently I found out that with the DS5 gamepad, it ain't no joke, right? Yo, flipping flex cables, right? I've gotten better. I did an HDMI mod on my N64, and that flex cable was I thought I wrecked it with the soldering iron, but it turned out I did not wreck it. So that was good. I was glad that worked out. But real quick, I discovered a feature in Space Engine. And yeah, no doubt, L, I'm happy to do that. But yeah, basically, I have a DS4 controller that I misplaced, and I've only ever used it on my Steam Deck. then we got this one here, right? And apparently, like, if you have to do work on the Joy-Cons, they've designed this in such a way where it's like a real pain in the butt to like get to the important components. And I could definitely empathize with anyone who like tried to repair it and didn't get that far. Then I found out they had the other one, right? They have the more expensive controller where you can remove the analog sticks and replace them. And supposedly this guy did an expose video where he explained that Sony never has the replacement sticks in stock. And so it basically forces people to either do a warranty repair or mail it out. And either which way, it's like if someone doesn't want to be without the gamepad, those are their options, basically. Kind of sucks. So, I mean, I wasn't aware of that when I bought the gamepad. Now, I like the triggers. I use a third-party app called, DSX, to be able to have, like, variable trigger pressures. And that can be kind of a cool gimmick. Ooh, I'm sorry, a little bit off topic here. A little bit off topic, but I discovered the weirdest thing about this gamepad. So when you have this gamepad plugged in and you're running the Sony, like the game, not Sony, but the app called DSX that lets you tweak the controller, it comes up in the Windows sound mixer. And if you're listening to music, let's say you're listening to music, an album, you're on YouTube, music comes out of the gamepad, but not out of the speaker. There's a speaker, I think, or a microphone on here for sure, and there might be a speaker. But the haptics, right, the vibrating haptics will vibrate to the tune of the music on your computer. It's the weirdest thing. So if you want to have like a really immersive music experience, you put on headphones, you hold the gamepad, and it's like having a subwoofer or a kicker. But frankly, it's kind of disconcerting. And what pisses me off about it is that if I'm playing a race car game, I'm driving a car, right? I want to feel the tires. I want to feel the steering column. I want to feel the car's, the terrain vibrating under my vehicle. And if I'm listening to music, I'm going to feel the game vibrations from the audio, and I'm going to feel the music vibrating in the gamepad. So it's like I basically have to mute the audio on this so that... Oh, that's weird. I got a duplicate camera here somewhere. Okay, I have to clean that up later. But note to self. But yeah, anyway, bottom line, yeah, weirdest thing. I just thought I've been dying to share that with somebody. And let me get rid of that second camera. I don't like that I have a second camera there. See that like little extra object there? Okay, there we go, fixed. So yeah, I just wanted to share that because maybe you'd be able to, relate to that or not. I don't know. I don't think it happens on the PS4 controller, but now I'm kind of curious to find out if it does. But anyway, I was lucky. I did not break the flex cable on my N64's HDMI mod. What happened was I used way too much flux, and some of the flux got underneath the motherboard. And when that happened, underneath the CPU, actually, underneath the CPU and GPU, and the N64 is passively cooled. But what happened was, oh, that sucks. Okay, anyway, I don't have a gamepad support right now. Okay, so we know the solar system, but normally I've actually, if you go back to previous streams, anybody who hasn't seen them, you'll know that I've done a couple of streams where I show you the solar system and I show our. Oops, I don't want to make anyone dizzy. I'm sorry. I show you the local area. I show you the dwarf planets. So you got Haumea, you got Maki Maki. So real quick, I'm gonna just show Maki Maki or Haumea. Good, Haumea. Now, why I want to show you Haumea is because it's shaped like an egg. It looks like a dinosaur egg, although from this angle it doesn't. But more importantly, this is the cool thing that I learned recently. So a few weeks ago, I did a stream where I purposely crashed space. And I did it because I zoomed out from the galaxy. And so we'll do that real quick. So if you that's the Milky Way galaxy, right? That's the local group, I guess. And then there's the whole, galaxy basically, right? I mean, there's the whole universe, the known universe. And I was doing two things. One, I was illustrating that the empty area on the side, it's not that there's no galaxies. All these dots are different galaxies. They're not even stars. These are galaxies. But the reason that there's nothing on this side and this side is actually very simple. It's not that there's any real reason. There's actually probably plenty of galaxies in this empty area. It's just that from our view inside the Milky Way, right? Remember, the Milky Way is shaped like a spiral, disk. The rest of the Milky Way galaxy is blocking our view, in that direction. So that's why we have the empty stuff. But that's not the thing I want to show you guys. What I want to show you that's even cooler is this. This is super cool. So we're going to go back into our area. So this is 1 light year, right? So if we go in, we can see this. We can see the Oort cloud. We can see some comets orbiting the solar system. We can see the asteroid belt objects, right? You can see those like white dots. That's the asteroid belt. You can see the dwarf planet Eris, which is outside the Pluto orbit. So to give you an idea, Pluto is on a 200-something year orbit. Eris is on a 600-year orbit. And Sedna is on that orbit. And that's like a 12,000-year orbit. So just to give you guys an idea. But what was cool about this was I knew that you can get this view. But what I didn't know was, one, you can use this particular view to see the whole universe or the known universe without using up all of your RAM. Because it was, when this game crashed, I knew this game was going to crash the computer. I knew I did it on purpose. That's how I ended that stream. I literally ended the stream by crashing the computer. But what I didn't realize was, in this particular mode, when you have this weird sphere, it somehow conserves memory so that it doesn't crash the computer, so that it doesn't have to cut into virtual memory. But the more important thing is that when we put it in this view, so, you know, you might know our nearest star system is what? Alpha Centauri, right? So we can see right here that we got, can we rotate this? No, I can't rotate it right now. That's too bad. So we got Proxima Centauri and Alpha Centauri, and they're like 4.5 light years away. And then we got Wolf 359. And for anybody who watches Star Trek, I think you all know about Wolf 359. That was where the big battle happened before the Borg arrived in the Terran system. And this is cool because normally when you're trying to look at our nearest star systems, oh, so this is, yeah, correct, Elle. Yeah, these are the galaxies that we can currently perceive with our, with our current level of technology. Absolutely. And with the aperture of our telescopes and all of that stuff. Yep, my PlayStation will think my controller is a mic when I charge it. Yep, it does that too. It's an interesting microphone. I mean, it's not a great microphone, but it's kind of cool. I bought a custom controller and the sticks drifted in a couple weeks, got replacements, and those drifted too. Sigh. So my theory about Joy-Con drift is like, partially it's the springs. Right? Like I have the Xbox controllers. I have the Logitech Precision Wireless controller for Xbox. It's a beautiful gamepad. Like it is a beautiful controller. Like it's got the right curves. So like for example, let's see, Logitech Precision Cordless Xbox controller. Let me see if we can find it. Oh yeah, it is that beautiful thing. And I bought multiples of these. Like you can see it now. I don't know why these pictures are zoomed in. I just want a wide shot. You can see like the ergonomic design. Oh, it's eBay. But it has a dongle with the memory card reader, so you don't have to put the memory card in the gamepad. But really great gamepad. I bought extras because I didn't want to lose any. But one of them, the two I use right now, has serious Joy-Con drift. But from what I can figure, if you had a way of adjusting the dead zone, like on a lot of gamepads on the PC, you could adjust the dead zone in the middle. So the larger the dead zone in the middle, you can sort of ameliorate or mitigate the effects of stick drift, right? But also, in some cases, you'll open it up, replace the springs, which, of course, depending on the gamepad, you're going to have various obstacles, as, LCX pointed out. But, yeah, I mean, that's one option, is to do that. What I usually do is I just kind of finagle it. I wiggle the sticks until it behaves properly, and I get lucky. But that's not a real solution. That's just one solution. Where I don't have a problem is on the N64, not N64, or that too. But where I don't have a problem is on the, what's that thing called? Nintendo Switch. Never had a problem. But I also don't put a lot of mileage on my gamepads, so that might be why I don't have a problem with that. So we're going to take a look at Epsilon Eridani. Epsilon Eridani is a lot of these solar star systems that are near Earth are very close. I mean, let me rephrase it. Many of these star systems within 30 light years of Earth are often referenced in science fiction. So, for example, we have the Epsilon Eridani system, right? We have this here. Now, in many sci-fi books, there are other rocky planets in the orbit of Epsilon Eridani, whereas in this case, all we have is this one that looks like it's named after one of Elon Musk's kids. This one's called Aegir or Ager. I think it's Iger, like Paul Iger from Disney. But I doubt it really has purple rings, but if it does, that would be kind of cool, wouldn't it? But basically, bottom line is what I like about this. Ooh, is that... let's see if there's an Epsilon Pegasi. Epsilon... So this is an interesting I noticed was when I type epsilon, sometimes I can't type epsilon because epsilon is a Greek alphabet letter. So you can see here it says E Achille, E Aretus, etc. So if I want to do epsilon iridani, I do eps iri apparently, right? So for yours, we have eps peg. Okay, maybe. Let's see. We got eps peg right here. Now my only concern is like, well, let's see what we get. Okay, that's a star. Looks like a big-ass star, too. How many masses is it? Okay, so what is the 137 DOs? So, okay, it's a 1 AU diameter. So this star is as big as the distance between our sun and the Earth. Because remember, the Earth is 1 astronomical unit away from the, real quick side note. It finished. So when SharpCap finishes capturing the calibration frames, it averaged them. It said it was averaging or something like that. It was combining them. And so now we have a master dark frame with the right temperature, which means that we can combine and stack all of the 1 minute exposures, and we can cancel out the noise, and we can cancel out that amp glow down there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to really quickly just tee it off to set up a 5-minute exposure. And we're going to do capture dark, capture 20, add it to the Warhammer 40K dark library. Well, it says dark library. And now we're going to get back to Space Engine. Epsilon Persei 8. Epsilon Pegasi is a galaxy in free space 2. Oh, maybe we can find something like that. This is cool, though. Look at that. It's got like some interesting, flare pattern on it. This one does not have any planets in orbit of it, however, so that kind of sucks. Although I would not want to live on a planet in orbit of this one right here. Yeah, can you believe I'm still going, Amber? You know why? I took the day off from work tomorrow. I'm so glad. It's the smartest decision I've made all week. Rigel 7. So right now, I don't think there's an Epsilon Pegasi unless it's under a different name. And there is a possibility it is under a different name. Oh, here we are. Look. Here we are. Oh, look at this. It's not quite. It's EQ Pegasi. But you know what? I'm curious. So let's see what it looks like. So we're going to fly out there. It's a red dwarf star. And its distance to Sol is 20 light years. So this is actually quite close to our parent star. And in this star system, it's a binary. So we got a red dwarf, red giant, and a red dwarf, apparently. And it's got this weird orbit. Yeah, so you can see the two things over there that kind of influence each other gravitationally. But I know that's not Epsilon Pegasi, that's EQ, whatever EQ. Oh, Shellyak. You know what Shellyak is? Shellyak is from Star Trek, so we have to check it. Now, the Shellyak are a very exotic species, and this would explain why they're very weird, because, I mean, you'd have to be really, really well protected from radiation to live in orbit of any kind of blue giant star. Or blue main sequence star. But what we do is, so cool thing I discovered in Space Engine is you type in the name of a planet in the search, you press F1, and that's how we get this like local, this local schematic or whatever you call it, right? This local star map. And I've just been like, because this, normally the way Space Engine is set up, like just to give you an idea, you can't see everything that's near you because some stars are just way too dim, and in order to simulate reality, you're going to be forced to make some stars dim. So first time I was trying to do this, what I would do is I would like fly out like this. Before I even knew that there was an F1 menu, I would fly out like this, and then I would like crank up the magnitude like this. And right off the bat, you can see the labels clutter the screen, so that's not helpful. And on top of that, it's like, well, what if I want to see all of the stars that are near us? but without, seeing the stars that are into the background, because we can see there's some foreground stars, but it's very hard to be able to focus on them. So that's why I now use the F1 menu, and I think it's really cool. So yeah, I just wanted to share that because I haven't shown this on stream yet, and I've been playing with it for like the past 6 weeks. Specific planet, well, yeah, speaking of planet, before I get to the chat real quick, Amber, we'll get to the chat now, but let's take a look here. While I read the chat, I'm going to pull up something nice, and we're going to reset the magnitude, and we're going to find something that has planets orbiting it. All right, that has a planet orbiting it, right? And this one's interesting. This is this planet is only 1.7 Earth diameters, but it is 6 Earth masses, so it's probably not a place you want to live. It is a frigid lacustrine super Aquarius, so it's like cold as AF. But I think the more rewarding star systems would be like Proxima and Alpha Centauri, because Proxima and Alpha Centauri are like, our nearest neighbor star system. So you can see over here we got Proxima Centauri C, and then you got all these other planets here. And so in this particular view, we can see that one of these planets has like a really enormous ring system next to it. That's a bit more like a mini Jupiter, but it resembles Neptune. It's basically a bit like Neptune. It is a frigid mini Jupiter, so it's a lot like Neptune, but with a very large ring system. Then we got some candidates for actually habitable. This is only 4.5 light years away, by the way. And 4.5 light years away, we do have a planet that is 1 Earth mass and 1 Earth diameter. And it is a cool marine terror. Now, I don't know how to read the temperatures, but it's got nitrogen, O2, and argon, H2O, and sodium in the ocean. So it's got saltwater ocean, 5 light years away, saltwater ocean, nitrogen, oxygen, atmosphere, which sounds like pretty close to potentially habitable right there, considering how close to us it is. Its atmospheric pressure is 0.8 of Earth, which is probably survivable, but it is lower pressure. So yeah, I mean, obviously we don't know how it looks, right? We don't have this much resolution in real life. We don't actually know what the land looks like. We just know that we've been able to put the light through a prism, through a spectrograph, in order to measure what elements are absorbed, or what type of elements are absorbing the light from its star, and then based on that, we know what things are in there. So real quick, getting back to the chat. Hey, you should be a guest and talk about this stuff in my channel for L Talk Some. I would love to do that. I was actually gonna ask if I could ever, be on your show, but like I don't have a V. Oh, I do have a VTuber persona. I do. Now I don't know if I have to bring a VTuber personality, but I would like to show you my VTuber personality if you want to see real quick. Because actually, I was gonna reach out to you. I'm not even kidding. I see your commission prices are very reasonable, L, and I was like, thinking about reaching out to you, because like even Slim suggested this, and I was like, on one angle, I can do. Oops, wait, I didn't enable it correctly. Wait, but I did enable it correctly. Why isn't it not working? Let's see. Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2 1 2. Oh, I know what I did. Wait a second. Did I delete that? Uh-oh. Okay, we'll just show it to you on another scene. Testing 1 2. Yeah, there we go. See? So, anyway, this is a pilot from Legend of the Galactic Heroes. So, anytime I don't want to be on camera, I just use this. So, I've used this in a few recordings. I've used this on 1 or 2 streams. It's kind of funny. It moves. It's basically just 2 frames. Now, the character came from the Japanese anime series Legend of the Galactic Heroes. And, oh, wait, I do have a big screen version of him. Where's my PNG tuber button? There we go. So, yeah, like when I joined a stream on StreamYard, like during the presidential debate last week, I used this. And I did a very half-assed job. All I did was erase his mouth using the, eyedrop tool to get the color purple. And then I drew a pen stroke with my stylus. And so, basically, the closed mouth, that's what I drew using my stylus. Now, I was thinking about using a picture of myself and just tracing it and making a cartoon version of myself. I've done that before. But I suspect you might have a better direction or a better idea what to do with this. So at some point, don't be surprised if I reach out to you by email and ask about, what might be doable. But I'll try to, have a vision before I do that, so that I'm not just coming, at it like, you think it works well? I think it works well enough too, to be honest. So like I said, I'm probably gonna experiment trying to trace my own face over it. But if I end up hating it, don't be surprised if I reach out to you about that. But yeah, I'd love to be on. Just bear in mind, I work on Sundays. So if I'm going to do a Sunday, my best bet is probably taking off from work on a Sunday, because I feel a lot more comfortable streaming from my desk as opposed to, streaming at work. Like, I mean, I'm more comfortable with my desk. I mean, I got the good microphone. So I know the microphone is going to do justice to my funny voice. Granted, I could, these are great headphones. These are the headphones I usually use when I'm at work. Like, I've joined a few streams using these bone conduction headphones, and they're pretty good. They do all right. But, I just feel at home at my desk. But yeah, we'll play it by, yeah, I got you. That makes sense. So I'll keep it. That sounds good. I'll do my best to try to, work around your schedule. But if I can't, I appreciate your willingness to accommodate. That's cool. So yeah, basically, that's the Proxima system. Well, why? Why are you flashing on me, buddy? I must have deleted the second graphic and forgot. I'll have to deal with that later. It's very disconcerting, isn't it? I'm gonna leave the bouncing avatar guy on for now so I can remember to. Oh God, I'm huge. There we go. That's better. It's like I don't know when it disappeared. Like, let's try. I'm gonna press undo in OBS. You ever press undo in OBS 1,000 times until it does something you want? Maybe that's a bad idea. I'm not gonna do that. Oh God, I did it too many times. Okay, that's it. No more. Yeah, you ever undo 4 frames? You think? I think 4 frames would be nice. Ooh, that's what you, okay, that's good to know. Oh, okay, that got you. That's good to know. It's like, I'm always trying to learn too. That's one of the reasons why I watch content creators like you, LCX, because, you, Macany Drawers, I forget who else, just random people who I barely watch but are cool, but people who I see know what they're doing and, know how to have a good time. Macany, he's been covering a lot of pop culture commentary lately, that video game about the supersonic jet Concorde. I don't think it's about the supersonic jet, but you know what I'm talking about. Yo, don't use undo in OBS. Trust me, don't do it. Don't do it. It works fine, but it's a little sketchy sometimes. Like if you go undo too many steps, it's sometimes OBS will just kind of crash on you. It just kind of happens. Oh, my hand's missing. Okay, whatever. I'll fix that later. But yeah, sometimes it just does weird stuff, let me tell you. Yeah, dude, there's an anime guy flash stepping behind you. Yeah, I can't trust these pilots over here. These pilots are dangerous, man. They always drinking booze at the freaking starport. And they'll always be trying to make shifty deals, gambling in random places. Can't trust these star pilots. I was actually reading a comedy sci-fi recently. I think it was called "We'll Save the Galaxy for Food," and it was about star pilots who no longer have jobs because they invented stargates, quantum tunnels. I'm looking for the top monitor, upper monitor. Okay, there we go. Yeah, okay, I see. I'm literally just missing one. I can resupply that picture later. All right, cool. So anyway, before I wrap it up, let me know if anybody wants to see anything in this galaxy or the neighboring galaxies. Or, oh wait, what's the name of that galaxy again? Epsilon Persei. Let's see here real quick. I'm going to Google it just to see if it's a thing. So it does exist according to Wikipedia. And if my Stream Deck ever catches up with me, because I'm apparently... whenever I use my sound interface, the Stream Deck likes to get slow. Oh, Epsilon Pegasi. Okay, oops. Let me see. Pegasi. So there is an Epsilon Pegasi, and I'm gonna try copying and pasting the Greek alphabet letter E for Epsilon. It's also known as E-Peg or Epsilon Peg and ENIF. So it could be under any of these names here. If we're really desperate, we could probably match it up on a star map if we even know how to read what this is telling. I love these like star map coordinates. Like, okay, well, where's the thing I'm looking for? If I had my telescope mount, I could probably, if I had the telescope, if it wasn't cloudy outside, I could probably aim the telescope in that neighborhood. Epsilon, oh, this is interesting. Epsilon Pegasi has exhausted its core hydrogen and expanded away from the main. No, this is a star, not a galaxy. So I don't think it's a galaxy. I think it's a star. And if it is a galaxy, Epsilon Pegasi, also known as ENIF, marks the horse's muzzle, the brightest star in Pegasus. Pegasus what? Cluster? Pegasus galaxy? Pegasus. Oh yeah, they do have a Pegasus galaxy in Stargate Atlantis, but I don't think it's real. See, they even mention it here, but no pictures. There we go. There's the Pegasus galaxy from Stargate. So in this case, I think it's a whole entire constellation. So the Pegasus constellation is is exactly that. But let's get back to that upper monitor and see what we can turn up real quick. All right. So it looks like there is no such galaxy, and but ENIF comes up, and once again, I think we've probably seen ENIF already, but we're gonna try it again. It's an orange. Yep, we've seen it. Okay, same star. So there's the answer. Yeah, Galactic Heroes new OVA was super impressive. Yeah, it was not bad. I bought like one of the Blu-rays for it by accident. I bought one season of the original series. It cost me. I had to buy the Japanese version of Legend of the Galactic Heroes. Then I had to take the subtitles from the Laserdisc version from Central Anime, an IRC group, and add it to my Blu-ray copy. And luckily, the subtitles synced perfectly. The biggest issue of Legend of the Galactic Heroes on Blu-ray, the original series, is that it's not progressive scan. It's 1080i, not 1080p, 1080i. And it's somewhat computationally intensive to use my preferred deinterlacer to take care of it. It works, it just takes an inordinate amount of time. Yeah, I don't know if I'm familiar with Free Space 2 at all, but I mean, I'll check out anything. Only games I won't play are space games on Nintendo Switch, because every time I get a freaking Starfighter game on Switch, I end up very unhappy with it. Most of them. There's like maybe like Everspace was pretty good. Everspace was alright. Oh good, it's on Steam, so I could get Free Space 2 on Steam. But like Everspace was like good, but like there's a bunch of other space games on, you know, Steam. I mean, I'm sorry, on Nintendo's eShop, whatever they call it, where you can't invert your y-axes, and that's just absolutely painful. It's like, I want to invert my y-axes, because like, it's just, I can't fly if I'm stuck on a, you know, inversion that doesn't work for me. So it's kind of cool though. It's a, wow, it looks like an older game too. I mean, it's got to be real good. So we can center the monitor real quick. Oh, I got to switch my main monitor. So I hopefully the audio is not too loud. There's no audio. I put the audio low. Presents. I'm just gonna skip it a little bit. Classic video encoding. Oh, I love a space opera. I like ships. I'm a big fan of my ships. I love energy weapons. I love shooting energy weapons. I don't even mind being shot by energy weapons. I mean, what's not to love? Boring a hole through the hull of a ship? I don't care if it is my own ship. Yeah, I'm already sold. Okay, you go. Oh, there we go. You got a Star Fury fighter from Babylon 5. It looks a bit like Last Starfighter. It resembles a lot of things. Gives me a little, evokes a little Macross, but with more energy shields. It's a pretty riveting trailer right over here. Uh-oh. No. Lost an engine pod there, buddy. Oh, he's re-entering. Uh-oh. It's cloudy. It's a wasteland.
I remember stories of a glorious civilization.
What? That looks pretty interesting. I'm going to check that out a little bit more.
Of cities with spires that reached the sun.
Let me get back to the chat.
Of a blue
Oh,
planet
okay. That's kind of cool,
with
too.
vast
StarCraft
cities.
style races, capital ships, bombers, space superiority, stealth fighters. Oh.
of people with
Yeah, you know,
myths
you really know the way into my heart there.
everlasting.
Like, seriously, all of the buzzwords there. Capital ships,
children
bombers,
who
space
saw in the
superiority,
embers of
stealth
dying
fighters.
stars
Boom.
The destiny of
But
their
I
race.
seriously do enjoy a good space Warcraft game. Terrans, Vesudians, and the evil Shivan. Basically Zerg. Oh, not a Zergling. These guys are disgusting. Elite is still the best space game if you ask me. Elite Dangerous? Yeah, that's a pretty good
They
game.
say our people
I have a
have no
HOTAS
present.
stick, but I gotta go get some seat clamps so I can clamp the HOTAS to my
Only a
desk
past
before I use
filled
it.
with
Like, I
horror.
really can't be using a throttle and have it flying across my desk, you know? Oh, cool. If I get
And a
if I
future
get
they
lost
can
in the game,
only
I'll go
dream
check
of.
out your stream, L, because you know, I always like looking at friends' streams. Like I got a friend, he beat Metroid Dread, and yeah, whenever I revisit that game, I watch the stream because I get lost like every time. Sadly, I've been thinking about selling the whole setup
Now we
because
forge
it's
a
just
new
too much.
alliance
Wait, which setup
to
are we talking
guard
about?
The tomb of space. And to find within its cold expanse
You talking about that new computer you
the
picked up, Slim?
salvation of our race.
I remember you had like a new computer lined up. Oh yes, Celestia is. I don't mean to be catching up with the old chat here, but yeah, Celestia was very interesting, and I remember the first version or early versions. Maybe not the first version. Space Engine is a bit more glitzy and glammy. It works at like, you know, the high FPS and all of that, but you know, between Space Engine and Celestia, I'd say it's a matter of having the right tool for the right job. Oh yeah, Descent's a classic. I grew up on Descent. You know, I used to play Descent on my Pentium 120, and I think I played it on a 486 laptop as well. I do have Descent on this computer. I think I bought it on GOG Games, and I have it on my OG Xbox because when I remodded the Xbox or got some new mod tools, I bought one on eBay because I had a stolen Xbox, so I actually bought one on eBay to get back to where I was before. The guy who sold it had it preloaded with Descent and a few other PC ports on Xbox, which was kind of nice. I eventually got my hands on a Pentium MMX, but for a long time, yeah, the family computer was a Pentium 120, and it wasn't until I was cannibalizing computers from the trash that I was able to cobble together parts or cobble together like a working Pentium, you know, MMX with like 166 or 233 megahertz maybe. For a while, I ran with a Pentium Pro with 200 megahertz. Pentium Pro was a unique CPU right there. It had like full clock L2 cache. In some ways, it was better than the Pentium 2. In other ways, it was behind the Pentium 2. Okay, so that was easy, Slim. That's easy. So, you know, like, I mean, like, Vista does seem like a pain in the ass. I don't know how you can have Vista and a 600 meg hard drive. A 6 gigabyte hard drive would make more sense, but 600 megs in Vista, I don't think Vista fits on 600 megs, so it's got to be a 6 gig or 60 gig or 600 terabyte. Maybe it's a 600 terabyte. I mean, a 600 gigabyte, because like Vista, I think uses like 15 to 30 gigs, and then the 64-bit version of Vista uses up like double whatever the 32-bit version uses. I see. We should go and touch base on that and talk about that in detail. But you might want to explore VirtualBox. Because I mean, doing virtual machines, when you say virtual drive text the entire hard drive. I'm sure that's a typographic error. It looks like a game. Yeah, Free Space 2L looks like a game that would run on a Pentium MMX. I thought about using it as an. I remember a lot of games I used to play on my old 486 laptop and Pentium. Sometimes I'd play them without sound. Like I got my first sound card on the Pentium 1, but I later on found out I could use it on the old 486 when I inherited that laptop. But the weird thing was like back then we didn't even have a built-in modem on the laptop, so if I wanted to go and play, a game like StarCraft online, I had to choose, do I want to play StarCraft with sound or do I want to play StarCraft online? Do I want to play StarCraft, do I want to play StarCraft with sound or do I want to play StarCraft, like the CD-ROM drive was external too, so I had to put a MCIA card into the slot for the CD-ROM, and I had to put a PCMCIA card in for either the modem or the sound card. It was freaking wild. Yeah, VirtualBox works. Oracle VM VirtualBox, that's definitely a solid option. Sometimes, so interestingly, like there were times where I could do things on VirtualBox like that I couldn't do in DOSBox. There were other times where excuse me. There were other times where I would use VirtualBox and I mean, let me rephrase it. There were times where DOSBox did exactly what I needed it to do, and other times where VirtualBox was better equipped. But there are specific cases where I think DOSBox is like the better choice, but it's a matter of like, using the right tool for the right job. Now, I recently unplugged my USB serial cable. So we're gonna plug that bad boy back in as an experiment. Now, I don't think this is gonna work because I've already one of the things I learned was that like when you have a USB to serial port adapter on the Windows 98 VM, if the COM port changes, you gotta redo that every freaking time. Okay, now it's booting up on my upper monitor, so I need to drag VirtualBox to my main monitor or whatever. So usually what it'll do is it'll either boot or fail to boot if the COM port don't come up. All right, looks like it's booting. That's good. I have a device on my desk. You'll love this, guys. I think any retro gamer would like this. I have a device called a DEX drive, and it lets me back up N64 memory card. My stupid fighter pilot's on screen. I mean, he's not stupid, but let me turn it off. Yeah, so we got an N64 memory card, and I have a device called a DEX drive, which is covered in dust right now, but see if I can show you real quick. Yeah, so see that right there? That's a DEX drive. So yeah, I gotta clean my desk, but basically I have to run this in a Windows 98 virtual machine. How hard did I just put that thing in there that it's stuck in there now? But I might have done fucked up. This thing's in there. I don't know how I could get it in there like that, but I just did something real stupid, and it's gonna take me like hours to get this out. I've never had that happen before. I feel like I need to go get this. I need to hit this with a rubber mallet. I'm a little worried. Oh, there we go. I got it out. Why did that thing get so stuck in there? Is there dust in there? Whatever. But you get the idea. It does seem to have a very firm grip on the contacts, though. I gotta say, that's a little concerning there. I don't know if there's some corrosion in there or something. If I need to get a cleaning kit. That was weird just now. It felt very unusually firm. But anyway, yeah. So you can see we got the N64 memory card, right? And I think I changed my Ethernet adapter settings recently. So we're just going to cancel out of that. I want to say I got the internet working on this, but I might not have. Okay, so sure enough, it didn't find the DEX drive. And that's no surprise because whenever you have a USB to serial port adapter, the minute you change whatever USB port it's on, you got to then figure out what the new serial port is. You got to figure out the COM port number, or you need to just change the USB port until it works. And I don't know which USB port works. what I do know is that I unplugged that serial port cable 3 days ago because I was having a really hard time. With my Stream Deck. It was just like, and one of the things that caused the Stream Deck to misbehave is low power. So until like I get another powered USB hub, it's just something that I have to kind of work around. So yeah, and I do want to say hello to Jason Fox, and we did talk about the Ohio drama earlier. Pulled up a nasty picture that might be a year old, but sort of like spits in the eye of what was being discussed in the news the past few days, where they're trying to trivialize a potentially very real issue. Although I have not really confirmed it beyond a reasonable doubt regarding the cats and the ducks, but you know, it wouldn't surprise me if it was true. Just that I like to have like, you know, a smoking gun form of evidence whenever possible. But yeah, so I have to use VirtualBox. Now what's crazy, L, is to use the Dex drive. When I first bought it, I thought it was going to work on Linux because like apparently the Dex drive for PlayStation 1 memory cards, that works. That works on Linux. But the Nintendo 64 Dex drive does not work on Linux. So it's like, that was kind of a bummer to me because like my plan was to take this N64 memory card reader, which is like down here, and I was going to hook it up. Wait a second. Maybe that's why it didn't work. I think I unplugged the AC adapter. Alright, whatever. I'll play with that later. I'm sorry, guys. I'm a little OCD here. Oh, nope, that's not it. Got a random... Oh, there it is. Yeah, I don't think the AC adapter was even plugged in just now. So I don't know if it was the serial port or the AC adapter. It's not really a big deal. But I'm just kind of curious if it works now. Nintendo don't do Linux. What Nintendo? Sega does what Nintendo don't. And did I say hi to Jason Fox? I did say hi. It's good to see you, Jason. Thanks for dropping in. Yeah, so I'm about to wrap up soon. I said that like 20 minutes ago, but I'm having a good time here with good company. We have good company here tonight. On this wonderful night. I gotta say, I'm glad I took the day off from work tomorrow so that I could spend some time with y'all. And I hope Amber M had a good day in school, if Amber is still there. And that you get a good night's sleep so that you can do it again tomorrow. Or that you get a day off, maybe. Maybe get a day off. That'd be nice too, right? Let's try this one more time. Okay, yeah, so I gotta go and I gotta set up the COM port again. Or I gotta basically switch USB ports. I gotta switch USB ports until I figure out which one. I deal with that later. But like minor tediousness, you know, I had this thing plugged into the same USB port for like 3 months, 2 months maybe. And it works fine. And then just the other day, I unplugged it. So it's like, this thing would have worked probably 2 days ago, 3 days ago if I had pulled it up. But why did I buy the Dex drive? Well, they're only about $30 on Amazon. And number two, I think it's like 25, $30, maybe less. But more importantly, N64 memory cards have, you know, volatile flash memory, right? They have a battery inside the memory card or the cartridge. So, you know, I want to back up my childhood memory cards. On top of that, it's not uncommon. How many times have I... Oh, that's so cute. Okay, I'm gonna make sure the audio is not too loud before I proceed with that. You know, I don't want to blast anyone's eardrums out, right? That is kind of creepy. Oh no, what a beautiful voice. And that reminds me, we gotta show Elle my turtle before we wrap up. I'll give it a like. Oh, you know what's a good one actually? We're gonna get one. Turtle Shake Your Booty. This one's a great one. You're gonna love this one, guys. This one's good too, though. This one's great. It's kind of scary looking, but it's cute. All right, now I'm gonna show you the cutest one ever. This is great. This one's classic. This is a classic and a half. How cute is that? Look at that boy. Or girl. It might be a girl. Shake, shake, shake. Shake your booty. Look at that fella. He's getting a bath. He's getting a nice little shower there. And I don't think this is a loop. I think this is like happening in real time. I'm a little bit worried about the position of that tail, and I'm not going to explain why because I can't be
For
certain.
those of you who don't
So lastly, well not maybe not lastly, but what I want to show you is my hombre. This is my homegirl. Her name is Puffy. She's a female red-eared slider. I adopted her in like 2015, early 2015, from one of my friends. He had this turtle for like 5 years before that, and he's a bit of a germaphobe, so he didn't really enjoy doing water changes. So I adopted her, had her in a 20-gallon tank, then I had her in a 50-gallon tank, and then eventually I placed her in a 150-gallon stock tank along with her stepsister. Oh, see, did Lady Mist say goodnight? Oh, good night, Lady Mist. Or is it good night, Vankman? I don't even know who said good night. Oh, good night, Lady Mist. Thanks for dropping by. And have a good day at work and get to bed before you lose sleep. Now, once again, thank you very much for hanging out tonight, Lady Mist. And have a wonderful day at work. And then to the right, you got her stepsister. That's Squirtle. Now, Squirtle I adopted like about a year or so later from a coworker who was moving to California. And Squirtle is like, you know, so while Puffy has orange ears, you can't really see the ears right now, but she has like red ears or orange ears. Basically, it looks like she's got orange stripes on the side of her head. Her stepsister has more melanin. Like she's literally just a darker complexion all around. She has like a little bit of a gap in the front of the shell, but she's fine. She's actually like big, chunky. I think Squirtle was given the what do you call it? The growth formula for like longer than she should have gotten it. So that contributed to her bulkiness. But, you know, I try to give him a mixed diet. You know, I give him, like, you know, leafy greens. I give him some shrimp, you know, freshwater shrimp, generally. Around Christmas time, I give him cocktail shrimp because, you know, it's like a special treat for the holidays. Lately, I've been giving him freeze-dried bugs. So you got freeze-dried night crawlers, crickets, you know, it's just like stuff like that. He's like, basically, it's important they have a varied diet. So yeah, they're pretty interesting fellas right there. And those are my two red-eared slider turtles. Make sure the coffee is ready for the morning lull. Turtle knows who her daddy is. Who's your daddy? So yeah, that's the gist of it. But anyway, I think we're going to wrap it up here because I know you all probably have valuable time or maybe want to hang out and play video games. But I want to thank everyone for dropping by. And it was great having some new faces. It was good seeing Jason Fox. It was great seeing LCX. It's good hanging out, Slim, with you because, you know, you're always that night owl that I get to hang out with. And tonight, the tables are turned. I'm the night owl you're hanging out with. Okay, wait, that doesn't really make sense. You know what I mean. Yeah, I do need to give live food. So what happened was some years ago, Slim, I fed Puffy and Squirtle, like some, I fed Puffy, I think was it, like some guppies, no, minnows. And one of the minnows had some babies, and they looked like these like microscopic looking things. They were practically transparent. They were so tiny. And some of them got sucked into the filter, so I scooped them out, I put them in a fish bowl, and I allowed them to grow. And at that point, I didn't have it in me to feed that group of minnows to the turtles anymore because I raised them, you know. But I should go back. Nowadays, I wouldn't give them minnows. I'd give them guppies. I hear guppies are a bit more healthier for them. Because, you know, you're going to get, like, you know, one, it gives them something to do. It's good exercise. They chase it. They hunt the fish. Sometimes they don't hunt the fish. Sometimes the fish becomes part of the population in the tank for, like, a while. But otherwise, you know, it's a good source of calcium. And it's probably better to feed them guppies because the alternative is giving them cuttlefish bone. And although cuttlefish bone is a, you know, fine, you know, calcium supplement, I kind of am not crazy about, you know, farming and harvesting cuttlefish. You know what I mean? Like, it's a beautiful creature. It's got the ability to camouflage. And then we're fucking harvesting them for cuttlefish bone, which, I mean, in fairness, if you put them in a farm environment, it's not like we're endangering them in the wild, but it's like just a little, you know, like, I don't know, it's just like a weird thing, you know, but, yeah, I think guppies would be fine, just that if I had baby fish in it, I'd probably get attached to them all over again. Plus, it probably keeps the parasites down. That's my biggest concern, is like just getting weird parasites in the water. You know, like I've gotten pretty good at maintaining water quality. It's kind of important. So anyway, real quick, I think, do I have it? Nah, I don't have it. Okay, I was looking for something. The other day, oh, there it is, yeah. So I was doing my robot suit up, you know, on Snow Dub the other night, and I basically did the Arnold Schwarzenegger scene where he's like doing the multiple choice. You know, he's in the room, someone goes, "What the hell are you doing in there?" And it's like, yes, no, or what? Go away. Fuck you, asshole. And it's like Arnold Schwarzenegger saying that. You know, it's just kind of funny when he says that. I like the idea of a robot getting multiple choice. Oh, there we go. Shin Godzilla getting shot at. Yeah, that's a good one. I gotta remember. I might be doing Nip and Nag tomorrow. So yeah. So Nip and Nag. Let's see here. Do we have Nip and Nag? And I gotta definitely add L to the stream element spot, because that'll make it easier for me to type in the word L, and then it'll just give links. But tomorrow night, our friend Punk Waddle. Do we have Punk Waddle on here? Our friend Punk Waddle the Penguin and Snacks and Friends will be doing a stream tomorrow. Apparently, I don't have Punk Waddle's link. Well, his name is Punk Waddle. You should definitely consider subscribing to Punk Waddle. So when I was at work today, I played this commercial for my coworker. It was a commercial for the "Ooh My Balls." I mean, not my balls. This guy's balls. So.
Of elderly men face every day, but now they don't have to. Introducing the Nut Bra, the only product guaranteed to give your dangling testicles the support they so desperately need. The Nut Bra uses patented ball hoisting technology.
Oh yeah. Some of not so. Trying to think, not many people right now are in Brandon's community. I'm trying to think if Venkman is in the Brandon community. I think I'm in the Brandon the anime guy's community on Twitter. Yeah, I haven't really chatted in there in a minute, but I should definitely touch base with Brandon and crew.
Balls were disgusting.
My nuts were so old and saggy, they used to look like Clint Eastwood.
Thanks to Nut Bra, the only thing busting my balls now is my wife.
But yeah, so the other day I had the pleasure, the privilege to stream with Punk Waddle. That's my dear friend Punk Waddle. In fact, Punk Waddle is very supportive of me because, you know, you gotta remember, well, not me, I'm sorry, it's my robot. As my robot, his name is Petey. He's in the middle right there. So, you know, Petey the robot, he gets rejected by a lot of people. And Punk Waddle is like, Petey's my friend. And it touched my heart that he's kind to my robot.
Yeah, that's his clip.
Now, the biggest issue with my robot...
All right, give me a second. I'm gonna fix this.
Let me see if I get. Let me get the speech synthesis on.
My builder, my creator.
Process me.
Language is what he's trying to.
Reality, please.
I think that PC load letter is not his language, is what he's trying to say.
Well, he's got one fan at least. Sonny likes him.
Also correct.
PD's my friend. We've hung out
See?
before.
I told you my heart.
Why are there sheep?
Because I have my own electric sheep in honor of the great Disney sheep herder who was kind enough to send a t-shirt of sheep to my builder, my creator, DJ Ronnie G.
So anyway, so it's not really a puppet, but yeah, that's what I did on Snow Dove Show. So I'm going to drop a link there. But anyway, whatchamacallit, I have to work on the voice, modulator a little bit, right? Because I have trouble understanding it quite a bit. So I think I can adjust it. I'm going to do some, offline tests to, make sure that, next time I do this, I can, be a bit more clearly understood. And that is the, gist of it. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of overlap with our communities here, L. No doubt about it. So you probably see some familiar names, whether or not we remember who's who. Yeah, some familiar names, I don't doubt it. I've been trying to get people to watch Pumpkin, Scissors, and K. What the heck is that? But the Nut Bra is fun. Pumpkin, Scissors, I'm not sure if I should play that right now, but I definitely want to bookmark it so I know what it is. this is Punk Waddle right here. I just want to make sure Punk Waddle's link is here. Oh, okay, it's an anime, and there's a dub, and there might even be a sub. So yeah, Pumpkin Scissors and K if you want to watch an anime about pumpkin scissors and K, which is probably not ketamine, but it might be. Hey, what's up, Jolly? It's good to see you. I just realized my air conditioner is still on. I think we can turn off the air conditioner now. Because I don't live in Arizona. So, yeah, Jolly, Loki is doing his meetup because he already put the deposit down. So I got to touch base with Loki. I want to find out what his itinerary is, see what he's got planned, and then based on that, I can determine if, I should choose one meetup over the other, or if I can swing both of them, right? Because I don't want to offend anyone, but, we'll talk about it later. But I'm going to touch base with Loki, see what he's got planned, so I can try to make a decision and see if I can plan my own itinerary where I can maybe be in Austin and San Antonio, which I've never been in San Antonio. I only been to Austin, Texas once, but I at least know how to get on the plane and get off the plane. So there's that. Ooh, World War I military style technology. So speaking of World War I military technology, it's another good one. So, just like how Legend of the Galactic Heroes takes place in a future, but it's got a bit in common with World War I era Germany. But, turn A Gundam, right? The upside down letter A. Turn A Gundam has like a lot of like World War I era technology, but the mechs basically are buried underground. So they're finding like World War era cars and planes, and then they're finding the mechs underground basically, and just kind of learning to use them. And there's like one scene in Turn A Gundam where like there's a guy in a barrel, and basically the guy's like, I'm gonna go, and here we are. This is the best. Yeah, this is I didn't even get this far in the series yet. Oh, come on. Why? I just want to see the picture. Why do you gotta make me read all this crap here? I don't want to see that. I'll just open up a new tab. Oh, come on. This is so stupid. I gotta open it. There we go. So this guy's in his spacesuit. You gotta remember, this is a guy from a World War I mindset, right? Or of that era of technology. And he goes, I'll just ride in this barrel and coast along that dang gravity thing till I go whoosh and smash into the Earth. So he's kind of expecting that, like, he could just be thrown in space and get back to Earth, which is not how this works. Not where they're located in space. But he does, supposedly, I think he does get rescued by our protagonist. I just love the idea of, like, Stone Age technology people living and operating in space. Okay, so ADV did it, so there's quality, but ADV also ruined Macross. No, I'm kidding. Okay, did they ruin Macross? I always mixed up which dubs they did some good dubs. I came across a channel once. It was an old man and a lady in a very dark triple puppeteer setting. There were two puppets in a tree, and the other puppet was a clock. For the life of me, I know what that is. That was Beauty and the Beast. But jokes aside, yeah, I seen a few weird puppet channels. Like, what was it? Like, there was like a channel I watched called The Toppets, and like, Jolly. If you say that Snow, you say that, what's his name? What's his fucking name? You tell me that. I'm sorry, my brain. You say that Flora was not funny, but you never watched The Toppets. And I kind of appreciate the wholesomeness of The Toppets, but.
Hey, Spike.
Me
was wondering
it can leave a bit to be desired.
Else on the show.
It looks like Ords, doesn't it?
Tired of being Larry's sidekick.
It sounds like Ords.
I don't know, Gus. You're really good at being a critic, and that's what Larry needs for his segment. What Larry needs is some lessons to be really funny, because he's not cutting it. Yeah. Like I said, he's really good being a critic.
So yeah, there you go, Jolly. Next time you want to say that Flora was not funny, remember. Although no, I do actually respect the content here, and I try to keep up with his work because I think it's good to have like diversity in the YouTube puppet YouTube puppet subset. What's the term? You know what I mean? Subculture. So there's like something for everyone, and I mean obviously people who are willing to watch rated R content can watch rated PG content, but people watching rated PG content are not going to be willing to watch rated R content, generally speaking. So you know, I'm willing to go and watch the less vulgar stuff, whatever you want to call it, not really vulgar, but less explicit stuff. And that's perfectly fine, I think. But yeah, maybe that other channel is nuked by YouTube. I hope it turns up. If someone finds it, I'd love to see it. But have you seen the video for the SOS band's Don't Stop the Music? No, I have not. Are you trying to make me look up videos now? It's like, it's working. That's not a music video. That's just a song. I'm not listening to a song. That looks like a live performance. This is going to get me copyright claimed, isn't it? The 70s was a lovely time in that regard. Oh, there's puppets in it. I don't see puppets unless these people are puppets. Then I feel really bad. They look very realistic. Oh, shoot. I found it. That's like kind of fun. Right, so I'm gonna drop that link in the chat there so I don't get struck. But yeah, so 80s puppets. I think it counts. Because your puppet is quite articulated. I mean, it moves, it does stuff. Sometimes it zooms in and out. I don't know what that's about, but I like that. You know, it moves. You know, like you talk, it moves. That's a puppet. You know. Also, we talked about Star Trek fan films last week, and one of the fan films, I remember the guy who created Star Trek Aurora, which was a beautifully done one. And I mean, like, we're not gonna watch it right now, but you know, just to give you guys a reference, you know, it's like he recently re-uploaded it in the 4K. That's Aurora Trek, just for reference. And he only did 2 episodes or 2 movies of Star Trek before CBS put a kibosh on it. But he's been working on a Dungeons and Dragons themed movie for like the past 5 years, and he keeps releasing like, in fact, 7 minutes. 7 minutes is the longest segment I've seen him release. Apparently, he's released 7, 6, and 11-minute segments. So apparently, he's starting to really catch up. But for a long time, this guy was only releasing 30-second segments. My point is, I remember he was explaining how he does the models in an interview, and he basically described them as robots that you know, in a 3D environment that you know, instruct to move around and stuff. So it's kind of reminded me, what you said reminded me of that, L. So what was Slim just give me? This green one here? Bulbous Bouffant. Oh, and Jolly, if you're still there, I want to thank you for letting me join you guys on your show the other day. I meant to send you a DM on Twitter X, and didn't get around to it yet. But I am very grateful to have been able to do that.
Galoshes.
Oh, let me rewind this. I want to hear what this is.
No, I'm not.
Is this like Beavis? Is this Matt Drudge?
Hi.
Hello.
Are you waiting for the bus?
Yes, I am actually.
I notice you're not wearing any galoshes.
No, I'm
not sure.
It's sunny out there.
I'm not sure what rotoscope means in this context, but I'm gonna look it up.
I'm wearing galoshes. Galoshes.
Uh-huh.
Did you read the paper today?
No, I haven't had a chance.
Did you read the thing about the Eskimos?
No.
Well, the article was saying that the Eskimos will eat the fat from the whale.
And from the seal.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what that's called?
Blubber?
No, I don't.
Blubber.
Ah, right.
You knew it.
Blubber.
Yeah, blubber.
That's what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
Blubber.
Right.
The Eskimos eat the blubber.
Uh-huh.
And the blubber will come from different kinds of whales, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes it will come from a beluga whale.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Beluga.
Right, yeah.
They don't wear galoshes.
Who, the whales?
No. The Eskimos.
Oh, no, that's right, they don't.
They wear muklaks. Muklaks.
That's right, muklaks.
Muklaks.
Yeah, muklaks.
Say it again.
Muklak.
Say it louder.
Muklaks.
Good, eh?
Yeah, it is a good one. I didn't want to say it.
When you
but
said
I like it.
rotoscope, I did kind of think about
galoshes.
the way the
Galoshes.
movements looked kind of natural.
Good, eh?
Yeah, it's good.
Galoshes.
I wonder.
Beluga.
Beluga.
Blubber, 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 blubber.
I remember Slim was watching the making of Prince of Persia or something like that, and how Blizzard Entertainment used like camcorder footage to like have a template for what to animate, to make animation for the character's movement.
Excuse me. Sorry, I didn't mean to
It
interrupt.
is
whatever
like
is
hanging
you
out
were
with
doing
Gator,
there.
isn't it?
No, it's okay.
Okay, I just wanted to know if this is where the bus stops.
Yeah, they should be here any minute, actually.
Oh,
I see a
Well,
digital
sorry to
rotoscope,
disturb you.
but
It's okay,
similar
we were
concept.
just,
Waking life movie, all rotoscope animation. It's gonna be interesting
Yes.
when I look into that.
Psst. Yeah.
Look over there.
It kind of reminds
the
me
street.
of that movie, the Keanu Reeves movie,
See
A
that
Scanner
lady?
Darkly.
Yes.
What kind of hairstyle does she have?
That looks like a bouffant.
Yes.
Oh, I thought it was Beehive.
A bouffant.
Yes, a bouffant.
Actually, I couldn't help noticing that myself. It's sort of what you might call a bulbous bouffant.
Yes, a bulbous bouffant.
Bulbous bouffant.
Bouffant.
Blubber.
Galoshes.
Ah, got you.
Bulbous bouffant.
Yo, Slim, do you remember when VLC Media Player used to have a weird plugin that would turn everything into cartoon imagery, and they don't have that anymore?
Gazebo.
Bulbous bouffant.
Macadamia.
VLC Media Player used to be able to turn video into text. It was like an ASCII art, but in real time. Like the video would play back, but instead of pixels, it'd be freaking text. And it would blend in to look like a video. It's very weird. I don't know what they did with the feature. Maybe it's buried in the settings.
Bulbous bouffant.
Macadamia.
Gazebo.
Bulbous bouffant.
Blubber. Macadamia. Blubber.
Gazebo.
Bulbous bouffant. Plethora.
Macadamia. Blubber.
Gazebo.
Bulbous bouffant. Plethora.
Macadamia.
Bamboozle.
Gazebo.
Bulbous bouffant. Plethora.
Macadamia.
Bamboozle.
Gazebo.
Bulbous bouffant. Plethora.
Macadamia.
Bamboozle.
Gazebo.
Bulbous.
Ploy.
Spatula.
Gazebo.
Ice cream hairstyle.
Ploy.
Ooh.
Plethora.
Macadamia.
Bamboozle.
Gazebo.
Bulbous
Ploy.
bouffant.
Shindig.
Bamboozle.
Gazebo.
Bulbous
Ploy.
bouffant. Plethora.
Macadamia.
Bamboozle.
Oh, thanks, Al.
Macadamia.
Bamboozle.
Gazebo.
Bulbous
Ploy.
bouffant. Plethora.
Gabardine.
Bulbous
Ploy.
bouffant. Plethora. Bamboozle.
Gazebo. Tuberculosis.
Plethora.
Gazebo. Ploy.
Foible. Output mode, output module, color, ASCII art video output, restart VLC, open your video, and be amazed at the flick rendered and colorful text. Oh my god, I think we're about to do this. I might do this. I think
Galoshes.
might be the last thing I do, but I might do it right now.
Eskimos. Blubber.
I think
Blubber.
have
Blubber.
an idea.
Eskimos.
Sorry, my brain's
Blubber.
thinking out loud.
Beluga whale. Beluga. Galoshes. Eskimos. Maklak. Galoshes. Galoshes. Beluga. Blubber, blubber, blubber. Bouffant. Bulbous. Bouffant.
Okay, where's my VLC? So I'm gonna go to I think it's gonna be preferences. Had the instructions right here. Oh god. Okay, preferences. Video output module. Right. Video. And do I have to go into advanced mode? Oh yeah, we got to go into there. Then we go to video. Then we go to output modules, and then we click on color. Unless I have to download something. Don't think it's on here right now, but if it is, maybe I have to download it, or maybe I'm just overlooking something. I'll probably play with this on my own time and then come back to it. But I got the link on my upper monitor. along with an advertisement for cowboy boots, probably because the algorithm knows I'm going to Texas in a month. I distinctly remember doing something like this many years ago, and it definitely looked something like that. It was freaking cool. I wonder what year, when was this article written? Oh, 2009. That makes sense. That would have been the time when I actually tried this out. It would have been 2009 when I did it. So that's cool. I'll play around with that later. Maybe I'll get it to work, or I'll have to, figure something out. Just saw Xi Jinping. Oh my God. What did you see Xi Jinping? I don't even know where we saw him. Was that in the video? Did you see Winnie the Pooh? Where do we see Xi Jinping? And thank you, Slim. You can render the same with keyframes and fill in. That makes sense. Oh. Was it at the end of the last video? Because I do not see Xi Jinping or Winnie the Pooh here. Unless that looks like Xi Jinping. Maybe it'll come up as a recommended video. Oh, yeah, probably. Well, anyway, no big deal. I was just kind of curious. I mean, I'm not that I really follow what Xi Jinping is doing. I mean, I understand in the Pacific Rim, it matters more, right? If Xi Jinping wakes up on the wrong side of the bed, it might be kind of important in that part of the world. I think it's hilarious that they banned Winnie the Pooh t-shirts in that country. I think that's absolutely hilarious. Like, come on, like, it's just like, it's too embarrassing to let people wear a Winnie the Pooh shirt. That made me miss my animated Lord of the Rings. I loved the Hobbit animated one, right? I gotta see, I might have one. I might have the Hobbit, the animated Hobbit. If I don't, I'm gonna rebootleg it. Or maybe I'll even buy it. Maybe. It would be worse. You could have Chinese nationalists trying to attack you while you're playing piano in public. Oh my God. I'm pretty sure that, I think I get the reference. Oh shoot, my OBS is still recording. I don't want to waste that much storage capacity. So I think I'm about running out of mental steam here. But if anybody wants to have any last call, last request, and I mean last request. No, I'm joking. But if you got anything, guys, let me know. Real quick, I do want to share something cool. So, I got to clean my trophy case, right? But I just wanted to share. We were talking about Mexican Iron Man and how it was fun meeting Mexican Iron Man last year, or 2 years ago actually. It was 2 years ago I met Mexican Iron Man, and I got to dust this. But this is the challenge coin that Mike gave me when I was at the last. At Valhalla Con when I met up with, Stone, Loki, and friends. And it's in this, like, it's almost like a plastic film. So you can, like, stretch it. It stretches to hold it, and you can open it up, like, I think you, like, open it up like this. But I'm definitely glad I have it in here, right? See, it's, like, protecting it. It's got, like, a paint job. And basically what you're seeing here is you're seeing the Iron Man suit, but in the colors of the Mexican flag. And it says Mexican. Okay, it says Mexican Iron Man. And then it says Echo-based network, because this was actually a challenge coin that he ordered it in order for, I think, the guys on the Star Wars YouTube channel, Echo-based network, EBN, to give out. Also a friend of Brandon, the anime guy. Just, show where we have a lot of commonality. But yeah. It was a great honor to receive this. Now, the irony is Mexican Iron Man always yells, he goes, he's not a YouTuber. He's like, I'm not a YouTuber. I'm not a YouTuber. He always says that. But yet, he's like the most popular person on YouTube. And then this is, I think, Dr. Van Doomcock and his son, Harvey. But yeah, it's pretty neat. I got to dust it properly. I don't want to, like, do a half-assed job. Like, I don't want to use the wrong cleaning solvent and ruin it. So that's why I haven't really done a proper dusting to it yet. But I'm honored to have received this. I am, and it's very nice. So anyway, with that being said, guys and ladies, ladies. Oh, we got more than one lady. I think we got one guy, maybe two guys. Oh, we actually have ladies and gentlemen. All right, cool. We got gentlemen. Let's use that word. That word. We got Jolly here. Is he a gentleman? Yeah, he's a gentleman. He's a real gentleman, actually. I mean, I know Jolly is a pimp, but in a way, to be a pimp, you have to be a gentleman, right? But and all jokes aside, let's get the outro. Can I play the outro tonight? No, I cannot play the outro tonight. You know what? We're going to play it anyway. Give me 2 seconds. I'm going to retrieve the outro because I want to do this right? You know? We're going to do this a little bit haphazardly, but it'll be fine. So we got my... Where is it? There it is. Okay, good. I found it. All right. Yeah, it was the one where they had to go to Mount Doom. I think they even in the Hobbit movie they do. There was a Lord of the Rings movie where they do go to Mount Doom. And there was another one where they do the Hobbit routine. I frankly, it's a blur in my mind, Venkman. I'll be honest. But anyway, once again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. It's going to be the actual sign off. I think I did like 5 false endings. Jolly is much better about false endings, by the way. That was the guy who came in named Snowdub a moment ago. Yeah, he's much better. He's got quality false endings right there. Mine usually end up prolonging the show for like another 20 minutes. So still working on that. See, like, for example, I'll read the chat. I picked it up at when Dollar General was doing a tape sale. Oh, that's gangster. That's kind of cool. I miss VH. Well, by the way, if anybody's selling a VCR in the New York area or is willing to ship to New York and you have a good VCR, please let me know, because the last 2 VCRs I ordered on eBay got canceled because the asshole selling the VCRs ended up selling them on a different auction site. So apparently people like selling the same item on multiple auction sites to see where it sells. Ew. Okay, I gotta catch a fly real quick, yo. I'm gonna mute. Damn it. It's a huge... That was a nasty looking fly. Anyway, okay. We'll worry about that later. But all jokes aside, okay, we're gonna play the outro for real right now. I think it was probably The Hobbit. I picked... Okay, we said that. Rest well for your sleep cycle, my friend. Thank you. You too, Slim. Don't forget the nutrients and to avoid blue light 20 minutes before sealing yourself in your capsule. Don't worry, when I get into my regeneration capsule, Slim, I'll be listening to an audiobook probably for like a good 40 minutes because I'm off tomorrow, so why not? Oh, damn, I don't really want to do this, but okay, I'll do an audiobook corner later in the week, all right? I've been meaning to cover audiobooks, and the new Expeditionary Force book, the newest entry in the Expeditionary Force series, recently dropped. So I want to review the series and give a little bit of a review of the new book so far. But that's a different topic. Sorry, something you said reminded me of that book. Dak Poet. It's good to see you. It's good to see you, Deborah. Thanks for dropping by. But once again, yeah, okay, we're not going to name names. You know who you are. You're in the chat right now. Thank you all for dropping in. Let's play that outroduction.